Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Just a quick one today. We'll have a cheeky little hour talking about Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, this week has been more about the World Cup and England, but Tottenham, the news is that we are back in talks with Savva. I think we all kind of knew that was going to happen, right? We're back in talks with Savva, and it looks like he is the left winger that England, definitely not the left winger England want. Looks like he's the left winger that Tottenham Hotspur and De Zerbi want. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Bergvall news. I'm seeing people lose their mind. I can't believe anyone's going to want to pay 45, 50 million for him. It's great business. And the reason I've said Tottenham Hotspur 2.0 is we all wanted to build. I don't call it a rebuild because I don't think we're rebuilding from anything. We all wanted to build. And then all I'm seeing is everyone crying about, oh, you can't let Spence go. Oh, but you can't let him go. Oh, but you can't let him go and him go. I mean, look, if you want to build, if you want a manager to be backed, you're going to have to mix up the squad. And I can't complain. That is what De Zerbi is doing so far. I have not really disagreed with anything he's done. I think the only question mark for me would be Kinski is number one. We'll talk about that. It's not a massive question mark, but I do think that's a little bit of a risk. But other than that, whoever he wants to sell. Whoever he doesn't think is good enough, sell. No one has been that good for Spurs for years now that I can sit and justify keeping them. No one. Honestly, if I wake up tomorrow and I see that De Zerbi wants to sell Van der Ven, not that I don't like Van der Ven, but if he wants to sell him, sell him. I don't care. I completely agree with this. Yeah. 100 million. If you can get 100 million pounds for Vuskovic and Bergvall, two players that weren't first 11, that is phenomenal business. What do we pay? 18 million between them, was it? 15, 16 million? I mean, these are ridiculous fees for, I'll be honest, I've said it for years and people always have a go at me. It's fine. I don't know what Bergvall does as a footballer. I see a lot of people going, oh, we're selling our top talent. I'm not seeing any talent. I see a man that runs around, gives the ball away, bashes into people. So I can't believe that there's all these clubs who want him. Now, he might go on to be the greatest midfielder of our generation. I've got no problem with that not being at Tottenham. So we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. It looks like Forest, Newcastle, and I think there was one other. I can't think who it was now, but Forest and Newcastle definitely want him. But we've got better. Tonali, Fernandes, Bentancur, Gallagher, all better. I think Romano might have just said something. Yeah, I'm not bothered about Ben Davies being it. Ben Davies is going to go into a coaching role. What I've heard is he's going into a coaching role next year, and he's just going to be cover while they sort the squad out over the next few years. I'm not bothered. I don't think he's going to play many games at all. You've got Van der Ven left back, Adogi left back, Robertson left back. You've got four centre halves. I don't think he's going to play. I'm not worried about that one. If he was playing, I'd worry, but I don't think he's going to play. I feel like we've got much more important things to worry about than Ben Davies, in my honest opinion. Still, I don't. Meh. Let's have a look. Fabrizio Romano has said something, I believe. As soon as he says something, people go mad, don't they? Here we go. Here we go. Let's have a look. This is what Romano has said. Always have to log into somebody else's X account because I don't have one. So let's have a look. There we go. So direct talks between Tottenham and Man City for Savinho have been ongoing for weeks. He's the clear top target as reported since June, and Tottenham remain confident. Deal depends on Man City plan for the replacement. Interesting. We're going to talk about him. We're gonna talk about him. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But I like Savva. I think he's a really good footballer. And if it's the guy De Zerbi wants, then De Zerbi's job is to get the best out of him. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Bergvall. lots of talk as well, isn't there? Like, we need a striker. However, lots of people saying, well, De Zerbi doesn't want to play with a number 9. Okay, well, what does De Zerbi want to do then? Because if he doesn't, oh, hang on, that's not it, is it? Hang on. No, what's going on here? What's going on here? Why is my screen changed? There we go. So, look, lots to talk about from a Tottenham point of view. We are in a situation where we all wanted change. I was one of at the top of the list. Change. I don't care who leaves this squad. I don't care who's played well at the World Cup. I don't care who's got this ceiling. I don't care. If De Zerbi wants wholesale changes, we have asked for years to give a manager what he wants, right? If this is now what he wants indeed, then it's on him, right? He's picked Savio. If he wants Savio and he said, yeah, that's the left winger I want. We heard that there was options for Somerville, for Gakpo, for Leao. If he's saying Savio is my guy, then get the best out of him. And there is a talented player there. I think that, yes, I said in my video yesterday, yeah, I get it. The goal output hasn't been good from Savio. However, I do feel that if you watch how Man City play, they play a very set way. And I don't think Savio was the right man for that. However, maybe in a more transitional team with quick wingers getting at teams quickly, I think he's going to be a really good player. So we will talk about Savio. Is Bergvall going? Is Jed Spence going? Vuskovic has gone. There's talk that Jamie Donnelly's going to go soon as well. Tynan Thompson apparently is going to Man United. So Spurs are clearing out. And I cannot say I'm upset by it one bit. I cannot say I'm upset at all by it. I've had enough. I'm seeing a lot of these players get praised. And I've watched them for years, and I don't think any of these players can really get too much credit for what they've done the last, I would say 2 years. I think it's the last 4 or 5 years, if we're going to be brutally honest. So, look, it's going to be very, very Dragusin as well. Yeah, Dragusin's gone as well. I think that was good business as well. But look, I feel like Tottenham are in a very interesting position right now. I don't expect to hit the ground running. I mean, it'd be great too. I don't expect that everything's just going to click in season 1 and we're going to be amazing. But this has got to go down so far as one of the best windows we've ever had. Now, I'll caveat that. I still think that windows are ins and outs. I still think we need to see Romero gone. I think we need to see Sarr go. I think, listen, I don't rate Richie or Solanke. I cannot see that he sells both. So I do think it will be Richie. But Richie saying he wants to stay, and we're like, hang on, come on, we need to, we really need to start getting a few of these players out. And I just think fresh is good, right? I think fresh is good. For me, it's got all a bit stale at Tottenham the last 3-4 years, isn't it? It's all got a little bit stale every year. With Porro's great every year, and Van der Ven's great every year, and Bentancur's great every year, and Richie's going to have a great year, and Solanke's. I don't know. I've just got bored. I agree. I completely agree. I don't think that any of the youngsters that are talked about being sold, and by the way, how long do you call them youngsters for? 20, 21, 22? What? Just not good enough. I've never watched Bergvall, by the way, and gone, yeah, that's only me. I mean, I don't mind. By the way, when I have my opinion, I don't mind if anyone else rates him. It's not like you must think the same as me, but I see a lot of people going mad, like, oh my gosh, we're getting rid of his ceiling. What's that mean? What does this word mean now that everyone talks about ceilings? Why does everyone know everyone's ceilings? I don't get it. But look, we'll talk about the number 9 situation. Yeah, big up to you, big boy. We'll talk about that a bit later in the show. It's going to be interesting, right? Because what I like in a striker isn't what De Zerbi wants, apparently. So I really want Spurs to have an orthodox number 9. Apparently, De Zerbi doesn't want that in a striker. Up to him, right? He's the manager. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want then? You want a player that can play across the line. You can play right, left, and centrally. You want a player who's more of a false 9. Who is that guy? How many goals will that guy score? And if that guy is only getting X amount of goals, then you need goals from the playmaker and the winger and the two wingers. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out, right? And at the moment, I haven't seen us really linked with anyone other than Krupi. Haven't really seen us linked with any 9s or false 9s. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Tynan Thompson to Man United is a massive problem. He has talent, unlike a lot of us. Look, I think the problem that Tottenham have got, and I don't disagree with you, I think Tynan Thompson, when I've seen him play, limited seen him play, but he looks talented. I think the problem is Spurs have been run so badly for years that we've actually gone and spent so much money bringing in young players in front of our academy players. And I went through this yesterday. In the last 3 years, I think we've signed 10 players that were 20 or under at the time. Let me see if I can get this right. So Ashley Phillips, Takai, Sosa, Gray, Bergval, Valise, Tell, Odeber, Yang, and there's one more. So Spurs in the last 3 years have signed, there's 10 of them, have signed 10 players that are 20 or under. Then fans praise it, oh, Bergval, oh, great, oh, Tell, oh, but then they're also saying, how are we not getting Thompson games or Williams Barnett or Moore or Byfield or Donnelly, who at Lancashire, right? Well, you can't have both, right? You can't have an academy and then sign 10 kids on top of that. So you've now got 10 kids plus the academy kids plus your first team. And this is what I've been arguing this for years. I've never understood it. When people are telling me they want these Tells and the Odebers and the Bergvals and the Greys and the Valises and the Sars. Sar was 4 years ago, wasn't he? But we just constantly bought young players. Melia is another one, yeah? And Melia is another one. And Luka Vuskovic, right? So there's more than 10, right? There's more than 10 of them. And if you want those players, that's fine. I've got, again, people rate those players. No problem. I don't rate them at all. But if you want those players, it's all a little bit disingenuous to then start going, oh, well, Thompson's got to play. Where? You know what I mean? Thompson's got to play. Well, hang on, but people wanted to sign Matisse Tell, right? If you want Tell and Yang signed, right, how are you then finding room for more? And you're finding room for Tynan Thompson. And you can only have so much, right? You can only have so much. So I think that, unfortunately, some of these younger players in the academy that might be good talents are the victim of Spurs' really bad preparation or just really bad. That's only my opinion. Look, for example, I was talking about Luka Williams Barnett yesterday. Like, you know, when I've seen him play, and again, we're talking about at youth level, we've always got to take that into account. The boy looks like he has undoubted talent. I don't know, like, I feel like he looks like he's got undoubted talent. The way he moves the ball, his technical ability, his low center of gravity, drifting past players. He looks super talented. However, there's that level, and then there's Premier League level, right? And it's how do you get them from there to there? And that's what Spurs have been bad at for years. And buying the young players in front of them, for me, was just always a no-no. Always. Listen, I think if a top young player becomes available on the market, right? I think, like, if you're talking about Krupi, right, at 20 years of age, right? He's head and shoulders better than any of our academy, right? So you go, yeah, I get it. But when we're talking about Greys and Bergvals, well, I'll just use this as an example. Tyrese Hall. I don't know. Could Tyrese Hall have come in and got some of the minutes that Gray did in midfield? I don't know. I'm just spitballing. You know, I'm just spitballing. Valise was brought in, had a few minutes for Spurs. Could that have been Lankshire's minutes? I don't know, right? I genuinely don't know. But that's why right now I find it really disingenuous that we have all asked for change. And then when we start seeing change, people start getting annoyed. Oh my gosh, you're going to sell him and him and him. Who's untouchable in this squad? Who from the last 4 or 5 years can you look at and go, there is no way you should sell him. He has been brilliant. No one for me. Now, I've got players that I like in this squad that I wouldn't want sold, but no one that I'd go, oh my God, I cannot believe it. I cannot, no one. Like, I love James Maddison, right? I think James Maddison is my type of footballer, right? Gets on the ball, makes things happen, technical ability, great with his feet. Yeah. Big up, man. Right? But I get it. The question marks are going to be fitness, right? It's going to be, but we've seen players come back from big injuries before. Doesn't mean he will, doesn't mean he won't. But this is the first time where I'm looking at it and going, okay, do what you've got to do, Spurs. Like, this isn't like we're talking about selling a Bale or a Kane, right? Like we're not talking about selling a Ledley King here. None of these players for me have shown enough. Jed Spence, for example. I've got nothing against Jed Spence. No, I've got nothing against Jed Spence. I think Jed Spence is a good footballer. I think he's an inconsistent footballer, but that can be said of lots of our players. I would ask the question, why has no manager ever given him the number 1 spot at left back or right back? And 2, if he wants game time, this is the big thing I think. I hear a lot of people talking. I watch a lot of podcasts, not as much as I used to actually, but I watch a lot of podcasts, I watch a lot of fans debate. And I feel like we don't take into account what the player might want. So keep Jed Spence as a backup. Jed Spence is what, 25? I might be making that up. Someone in the chat. 25, 26? Maybe Jed Spence is saying, I'm at the age now where I need to be first choice. Maybe, right? Maybe. You're saying, I don't know Jed Spence. I'm just spitballing. But you would think that players will get to a stage in their career where they go, I want to play, right? I want to play. I don't want to be a bit part. And as fans, we go, I keep them for backup. But as a player, would you want to be backup? 1 game a week? So I see it both ways. But Jed Spence for me is one of those ones where if he stays, I've got no problem with it. And if he goes, I've got no problem with it. I don't really have a strong feeling for it, right? Like, yes, he's played well for England in the last few games. I think that style really suits him. The Tuchel kind of, what's the word I'm going to use for Tuchel style? Very pragmatic. And I think that suits Spence. But is it going to suit Spence in a Roberto De Zerbi style of football? Again, I've got the fan on it. It's not as hot as it was. So I don't know. And that's why the trust almost has to go into whatever anyone thinks of De Zerbi. The trust has to go into this man, right? You know, I was watching Big Up Stell, if you're still in the chat. I was watching a little bit of his show last night, only a little bit, and they were talking about where the Spurs need to finish. And I think, again, that's an interesting debate, right? Because we're coming off the back of 2 17th place finishes, but we're only playing once a week. Bought in players, spent a lot of money. But I don't know. I think Spurs are an interesting look. We always are, aren't we? Spurs should be a case study on how not to run football clubs, right? But are we seeing that change? Andy Williams saying, do you trust De Zerbi to stay for more than 18? Well, again, look, I don't know. He's not got the reputation for staying that long. But for me, I think what's more important than trusting De Zerbi, I think I need Spurs to show some patience with someone. You know, we are, how many managers in a Premier League era? I mean, I saw the other day, they were showing Arsenal, the number of managers Arsenal have had in the Premier League era compared to Spurs, and it was just huge. Like, it was huge. Our list was like this and their list was like that. And at some point, you need to get to the stage where you're letting a manager, I don't want to say a dynasty because I don't know if we're that club, but, build something over a sustained period of time. Now, obviously, that goes hand in hand with results. That goes hand in hand with fans' patience. But wouldn't it be nice for us to be sitting here? And what is it now? 2026. Wouldn't it be nice in 2030 to be sitting here going, yeah, well, De Zerbi's been here 4 years. This is his squad. He's brought through young players. Well, that was funny. Someone sent me a post the other day. I'll come to some of your comments in a minute, by the way. Somebody put a post in my WhatsApp group the other day, and it was one of the people on X, one of the Tacticos, saying, I can't remember who it was, but De Zerbi's destroying our future. Just like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? De Zerbi hates youth. De Zerbi hates youth. Absolutely, he'd be our best player. Absolutely. Sorry, I'll go back to that story in a minute. Absolutely, Lee. Jump on if you've got time. You've got my number, you big fuzzy bear. Yeah. If Phil Foden is available, I am all over that. I am all over. If you are telling me that Phil Foden is going to sit in front of Tonali and Fernandes with Kudus and Savio out wide, I'm all over it. I think Foden is another one of those that has been so successful that fans hate him. And what I mean by that is Phil Foden came through in Man City's peak and broke into a team that had Silva, De Bruyne, Mahrez, right? Like Aguero. This guy came through the academy, broke into the team. He's been PFA Player of the Year. He's scored loads of goals. He's won loads of titles. He's like 25 years of age. And people going, I've never really seen it with Foden. I mean, look, Foden, I think he'd be amazing at Tottenham. I think he'd be our best player by a country mile. The way that Lubo's our best pundit, Phil Foden, Lubo, happy you're back from holiday.
Delighted.
Did you get some better opinions while you were on holiday? You brought some home?
Not listening to you, I didn't. That's for sure.
Touche. Phil Foden, people are saying is available. Would you take Phil Foden?
I think so.
Oh,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Okay. Can you imagine Tonali and Fernandes with Phil Foden completing the triangle in the hole?
So you prefer Foden to Maddison, presume, for longevity?
I mean, listen,
lack of
I love
injuries?
Maddison. I think Foden's the next notch up. And I think with Foden, I think both of them, you could play both of them in certain games. They can both float left and float right. But I think, oh God, I'd love Phil Foden. Talk to me, Lubo. Talk to me. Savio is the name on everyone's lips. Again, it looks like he's the left winger. There was talks of Somerville. There was talks of Gakpo. There was talks of Leao. Looks like Spurs have set their sights on Savio. What are you thinking?
Well, if they've agreed a fee with him and it's just a question of getting him over the line once City have got a replacement, then we've got a scenario that quite often happens in transfer windows, haven't we? The problem is if City don't get a winger. So how long do Spurs give it? And that's your problem. That's your problem. Yeah. At least we're further forwards than we were last year, because last year Savio wouldn't put a transfer request in. And I heard, and because of that, it died a death. Because if he wanted to go, City wanted to see that he wanted to go. And he wouldn't, and that was that. So from what I was told, it had nothing to do with the City director putting his foot down. That was just rubbish. But there you go. He wants to come.
So the reports are that City want another winger first. So what have they got? They've got Semenyo. They've got Doku. They sold Bob last year. If they sell Savio as well, I guess they would
probably need one.
another winger, right? But I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one, right? Because a lot of people talk about his output. You know, his output versus when he was at Girona. But obviously, I think it's different when you play at City. I think they, you know, every time I said this on a video yesterday, right? Every time Man City play anybody, Spain play anybody, Barcelona play anybody, everybody automatically sticks 10 men behind the ball and says, break us down. And I don't think Savio is that guy. I do think he's a flying winger, though, in a team that play with width. What do you make of it, Lubo, of Savio as a player, before I go to Gary? Welcome, Gary.
Am I overwhelmed? No.
Yeah, I didn't think
I am concerned at the lack of output. When he's been playing, I think, was it 5 goals in 75 appearances? We need goals. We need goals up front. That was a big issue last year. We scraped through. You know, even in the 7 games that De Zerbi was in charge of, we only scored 8 goals. So for me, we've got to be getting players who are going to score. So,
but do you think that, you know, at City he never really he didn't get a run of games, and he was getting 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Do you not think that with a new lease of life, like, what am I trying to say? Just because he didn't score many at City doesn't mean he's not going to score many at Spurs, right? It's not necessarily I did this at this club, which means I'm going to absolutely replicate that. I think
if he's got a manager who believes in him, that's going to give him extra confidence.
Yeah,
and you're going to get a bigger output. Whether it's enough or not, I don't know. Personally, I would have preferred Leao. I think he's explosive. For me, he's a better player. I'd rather have Leao than Savio. But listen, it's like personal opinion, isn't it? It's, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm guessing we were told. Oh, Gary, let me come to you. We were told. I don't know by who, but we were told that Leao was offered to Spurs, that the deal was on the table, and clearly we've not bitten at this stage on that deal that's available. So it must mean that De Zerbi has said, no, Savio's the one I want. So, Gary, we have to go with him on this, right? We have to say, right, this is your guy. Get the best out of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the coach, right? He's a manager. So it's his decision. Ultimately, right now, it doesn't sound like we have, right, anybody as a DOF. Like, we have, other people there. But, I mean, he's kind of the top of the food chain. And we hope that whatever attributes he's seen there, he knows those are the attributes that I want, right, for my starting left winger in this system. And he also thinks he can probably develop, like certain attributes that, are either lacking or need to be improved. So, yeah, we got to trust him right now. I mean, because we're so scarred and because we've had just such a poor recruitment and transfer strategy, we always kind of think around Spurs, I think, oh, this is the last person ever we're going to get. No. If Savio is not the best, then you go get somebody else, and then he goes, and he gets knocked down the pecking order. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be like this.
They have that at big clubs, right? Like if somebody fails at Chelsea move. Like Garnacho's got to Chelsea a year later, right? Garnacho's for sale. At Spurs, we have a player and go, do you know what? I feel like he needs his 7th year because this is going to be his year, right? So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, no, I think that's the mindset that we need. We need to be ruthless. And hey, you give somebody 1 or 2 seasons. He is 21. He's at the perfect age, I think almost 22, right? To really kind of kick off. And in this new system, like you're saying, Sav, it's a different tactical setup with a different, style of coach. This might just be hopefully the thing that unlocks him. So I'm hopeful.
Just before I come to Philly, Jay Love, I'm going to ask you at this stage, right? To please, can we remember that we're Tottenham Hotspur, right? We have finished 17th 2 years in a row. If we're going to start saying we don't need players like Phil Foden, I think we need to take a little bit of a reality check. Yeah. Why would Tottenham Hotspur not need Phil Foden? He'd be the best player at our football club. Anyway, Philly, Savio. I don't think I know your stance on this. Savio to Tottenham, looking like it's going to happen. What are your feelings?
I'm quite meh on it. It's a good signing for Spurs. That's exactly what they need on the left wing. The way we play, he's going to have a lot of green grass. And I watched some of Stel's broadcast last night as well. I have to pick him up for that. There's going to be a lot of green grass for him to run into. Like, he's not used to that at Man City where teams set up against them. So first and foremost, I'll have to give him that. I'm glad it was him over Savinho in the fact that I've watched Rafael Leao at AC Milan. Some games he is the living enigma of frustration. Some games, he's got talent. There's no doubt he's got talent. Some days it's a question of can he apply himself and can he be bothered? And that is the question I have for Rafael Leao, and I've always had that question for him. There's no doubt he's got talent. It's can he be bothered to switch it on today? Because some days, he's non-existent. You don't even see him on the pitch. And for any manager, that would be frustrating. So I don't blame De Zerbi for not going there and going for Savinho, because at least Savinho is going to put the effort in more days than not. And that's what we're asking for, consistency in a player at the end of the day.
Do you think as well, guys, with Savio, that I know everyone automatically goes to output, but the Savio I saw at Girona that was playing in a team more akin to a De Zerbi style,
agreed,
was frightening. Like, ball at his feet, running at players, driving inside, whereas City are a little bit more hug the touchline, pass. I just feel like he might light up. I'm going to call it the lane. I can't call it the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I feel like he might just light up White Hart Lane if given the chance. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, mate, it's been years since I've had a football player, who's actually got bums off seats at Tottenham Hotspurs. Most of the players who we've got, workman-like, and it's, mate, I haven't seen Tottenham in a year and a half. That's how boring they are. I'm sorry, they are boring. They're like watching England. Sorry, Lubo, I'm gonna just put them both in the same bracket. They're like watching England, basically. That's how bad Spurs are. And signing someone
don't mention England around Lubo. He gets very upset. He loves his England.
I'll behave, Lubo. I won't go too far. I'll behave. I won't be like I did yesterday, man. That was kind of cold, man, but it was truthful anyway. But with Savinho, it's going to be a remarkable difference to the number 10, because now he's going to have options not just on the right hand side, but on the left hand side. So it'll open the pitch up a bit more, and we're going to have more excitement. And this is what the fans need: someone to get their bums off seats and someone to bring attraction to the team again, because we've lost that spark.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a breakdown of a guy who on X, I was just reading. I saw it last night. He's watched a ton of tape on him. And basically, he's saying positives, negatives. And like we've talked about, the positives are the way he can dribble. He can take on a man. He's versatile. He can manipulate his body. Well, like he can read other players. Again, we haven't really seen that as much. He's more direct. And like you're saying, if we have more space to run him into, right, that's going to get more out of him. The challenge that we've seen, just like we've all seen it, is number one, like his long passing accuracy isn't great. And he needs to get more clinical, right? And this is the exact time, like I've been thinking about it. We're always like, oh, these kids. Most professional football players only have to about 33, right? That's it. What you see is their legs kind of shot by then, for the most part, not everybody. So by 22, like that's when you should be, where you're at. Now, the best players are doing it at 16, 17, 18, and they're already kicked off from there. But like, this is the time for him or anybody else, right, where they have been developed over the years. That they have pace. That they can, manipulate the ball. They're good with the ball at their feet, right? They have that vision. They can pass, and now they need to really show it, right, at that speed of the game, right, with physicality and with everything else. So I'm hoping that, this is the year for him. No injuries, and 1 game a week, new team, has great, all the fans are behind him. Let's go.
Do you know what I find interesting is the thing is, I think everyone assumes, staying on Savio, I think everyone assumes that because he only got 2 goals for City, that he'll only get 2 goals for Spurs. He could get 2 goals in his first 2 games, for all we know. Yeah. So I don't like this notion that we're assuming that just because you're buying him, that's what you're getting. Different manager, different era, happiness. You know, at City, he's never been the main man. I think at Spurs, he's going to have his arm put, De Zerbi's going to put his arm around him and go, "You're my left winger, right?" I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
You're my guy. Go and show the world what you did at Girona.
Yeah.
Hope so.
There's a player in this, Savva. There's a player there in Savinio. It's just the fact that, like at Man City, there's so many players in his position. He can never get it settled. He can never actually settle in the team. You've got the likes of Doku, you've got Semenyo, and you've even got Cherky out there who can play on both sides. So it's like he would never have that appeal at Man City. But at Spurs, yeah, like you said, he'd be the main man. And that's probably sometimes what players need. If we go back here, I know it's a big here, but I'm going to go back to the point, and I know you like this one, Savva, yeah. Barcelona and Neymar and Messi. Sometimes a player needs to come out of the shadow of somebody else and then see what they actually are as a player.
Was that Messi coming out of Neymar's shadow?
Yeah, it was definitely that. So yeah, look, I just find it interesting. I've always said Savio's not my first choice, but there must be a reason that De Zerbi's landed on him, because I believe that Somerville would have been gettable, Leao would have been gettable. I think Gakpo, I'm not sure, and again, very different type of left-sided player. But if he's ended up on Savio, there must be a reason why. There must be, because they're all very different wingers, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, listen, Leao, I read, was loan with obligation. So, maybe the selling club didn't want that. Maybe they wanted him sold. It sounds a bit like the Lookman scenario last August.
Right.
When we spoke to Atalanta and we wanted to loan him, and Atalanta said, no, we want a straight transfer. And that was that. So, you don't know, do you? It's interesting. What I'm looking forward to, though, is just broadening the conversation, is just to see De Zerbi's style, how he plays, which players he's going to finish with at the end of this window. Going on. We've only got 2 games before the end of the window this time. In the past, it's been 3, 4, 5 games. There's only 2 matches. We've only got Brentford and Newcastle before the window closes. So if he does get any last minute, if he ties up anything last minute, they haven't missed too many games. So for me, it's exciting. He's also, I hear, putting a stop on this. I heard you earlier, Sam, at the start of the show, talking about the amount of kids that have been bought over the last 2 or 3 years. I've heard he's putting a stop to that as well, because Thompson's leaving. Why is Thompson leaving? Because he doesn't see a pathway. If Tell hadn't have been bought and Odebear hadn't have been bought, maybe Tylen Thompson would be staying. When you look at someone like United, who have obviously been following him, and they obviously rate him enough to want to get him down to Carrington ASAP, we may well have lost a very, very good kid. Sure. A very good kid. And that's just, it's ridiculous that you bring a kid through all these years through the academy, and just as he's about to sign professional forms, he can't see a way forward. So he's got to look elsewhere. It's crazy. And I'm sorry, I know he did buy 1 or 2 kids, Perutici, but this is Lang's policy. Lang has always been buying kids, and it's wrong.
Paratici bought just as many. I'm sorry, Paratici. But listen, I think it's both of them. It's been Spurs' policy for years. We've just bought loads and loads and loads of them. This is why I didn't want none of that. That 10 I mentioned earlier. I think there's 11 actually. I didn't want any of them. I know that sounds really hard. I wasn't excited by any of them signing. Like, not one of them did we buy and I went, cool, yeah, he can play. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always forget this. So you got Ashley Phillips, right? You got Kinski, Ashley Phillips, Takai, Sosa, Gray, Bergval, Yang, Valise, Odeber, Tell, Vuskovic. And it's just mad. I didn't look at any of those as kids and go, Spurs have got a real good one here. Now, I know people will talk about Vuskovic, but I'll ask the question. Vuskovic is that great. I'm not saying he can't be. Croatia played him for the first 60 minutes and then he was dropped for the rest of the tournament. Right? Brighton are the only team that have come in for him from Spurs. It's not like he's not made an upwards step from Tottenham. So other than Vuskovic, I'll meet in the middle of that one. Who did we buy out of those 10, 11 that you go, core, that was really worth buying and blocking the pathway of the academy players?
Can I say something here? Can I add another one to that? Yeah,
that's why you're
and that
here,
is Bergvall. Bergvall, yeah, he's been here for 2 years, yeah. And if you watched him in the World Cup, yeah, especially the game with Netherlands versus Sweden, you'd be asking what exactly did he do to influence that game? Yeah, people kept saying it was a world-class performance from him. What did he do to affect the game? He did one run, and that was it. In the whole 90 minutes, everything else here was sideways passes at the time he was on the pitch. That's embarrassing. And what was it, 45 million? I mean, I'm taking that money, yeah, and I'm running with it. Because, I mean, I'm looking at him and thinking that all your worth is 20 million, to be fair. Because that's how bad I looked at him. I'm looking at him thinking, you haven't developed in over 2 years that you've been at Tottenham Hotspur. Your positioning is still bad. And you look for the safe options rather than risking it. And that's not not a player that I'm looking at thinking, you want to be keeping on your books for too long. That's just me, innit? I'm happy that Spurs put a release clause in there or a sell-on option in the deal if they sell him. Because I don't think he's kicked on. And the other one, like you said, the first one you said, yeah, Vuskovic, his positioning is shocking. I've watched him in the Bundesliga and for Westerlo in the Pro League in Belgium. Big up Luba, you like that one, isn't it? The Pro League in Belgium, yeah? Right. So I watched both of him in them leagues, yeah, and this man hasn't developed it at all. His positioning or his timing on the football. You could see it for Croatia against England in the first game.
See, wouldn't you say, I mean, Luba, let me ask you, because obviously I know that you are a big fan of Bergvall and Gray, so I know these conversations hurt you a little bit. But
they don't hurt me, believe me. The only thing I want is for our club to be successful. That's it. That's the number one.
You know we love you, man. Stop it.
No, of course. I can't agree with you. You know, when you talk about Vuskovic, he got in the German team of the year. He couldn't. His positioning can't be that terrible if he's rated one of the top 4 defenders in the Bundesliga. You know, right. These are no fools that are picking this team. So I can't. I have to agree to disagree with you on.
Can I just ask why? And again, I don't listen. We're having the chat now. He's 19 or whatever he is.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's going to be in a few years. He could be one of millions of youngsters that we never hear of, and they drift out into the abyss, or he could end up being the greatest centre half in the world. Why was it Brighton? Why, if he's that good, German player of the year, whatever it is, team of the year, why did De Zerbi not want him? And why was it Brighton? Why has no big club anywhere gone in for him?
Well, why didn't Bayern go for him? They got shocking defence.
Does he suit De Zerbi's style? There's your question. Because he's going to get rid of players that don't suit his style. Now, you look at it and you look at everything that's been on social media, in the press the last 2 or 3 days, and it's like, why is Spurs selling Spence or looking to sell Spence? But if Spence doesn't fit De Zerbi's system, then he's not going to get much game time. He's better off going and playing in a team that suits him better, the style of play. And I think this is down to style and system that the manager wants more than the ability of the player.
Agreed.
So does that mean, Lubo, that means he's not as good a passer? Are we saying Brighton? I mean, I'm just saying, like, that doesn't mean he's as good a passer, right? Because that's what, De Zerbi looks for, right? Like center backs that can pass. So we're saying he just doesn't have that ability right now?
So that's right. So if passing is a weaker part of his game, and De Zerbi's looking at, listen, he's under pressure. He's got to get Spurs really motoring next season. Mm-hmm. I can't see the ball if they're going to end up spending in excess of 400 million, possibly. I can't see them accepting 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th next season. He'll be under pressure to perform. So the way he wants to play which is passing out and accurate passing out from the back. He's got Van Heck. He's got Senesi.
Mhm.
He wants pace down the line. For me, he's got Udogie, who I think he will improve. There's always seems to be Udogie's a funny one because he had a brilliant season in Italy before he joined, and he's been so injury prone that you were saying before about players don't get a run. They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out, and Udogie's another one. He's never really had a long run where he's not injury prone. The club have rushed him back because there hasn't been anybody else, basically, and he's just carried on getting injured. De Zerbi said that he's stopping that. You saw him hold Udogie back a week from the Wolves game and play him against Villa, and he had a fabulous game at Villa Park beginning of May. Listen, I know, Sam, I know you don't rate Udogie. I just think I don't think we've seen the best of him at Spurs. I think there's more.
But at what point does this become an excuse? Because we're like 4 years down the line now. We're saying
you've got a manager now, haven't you, who's been ruthless. So if
we
doesn't fit this season, he'll be gone.
Sure, but don't we do this with every player every year? Hence why we end up with the same squad every year, and then people get upset when they leave. Look, Udogie for me has got all of the attributes you would say to be a bloody good left back. He's quick, he's strong, he's not got a bad left foot. But when I watch him, I think he's wildly out of position all the time. Going forward, he's almost non-existent. Like he gets into areas and nothing comes of it. And we can't just say, oh, but the manager, he was playing for Ange, who was an extremely attacking gung-ho manager that allowed Udogie to get forward and still didn't really see loads from him. So, look, he's not, for me, listen, he's one of those, Lubo. If we keep Udogie, fine. If we sell Udogie, fine. I'm not really bothered either way, but he's got to have a good year at some point.
For sure.
Yeah, but my issue, I'm going to say my issue with Udogie is that for Udinese, he was a left wing back. Yeah, he didn't have to have the defensive issues of coming back and defending. Because, by the way, and I've seen this in games as well, he switches off. He'll have the ball 1 minute, he'll switch off, and then he'll kick it wayward. He'll go to the opposition player, or he'll go backwards behind him. And this is why I look at him and I think defensively, you're an issue, defensive-wise. Offensively, he can get in the positions, but at Spurs, it's been like a cross between the two of them. So he doesn't even and because he was developing at the time of being a left wing back at Udinese, because at Spurs, he's more of a left back. I think what's happened is that the guy has stalled in his development. The injuries haven't helped, but he's got the positioning where he can get forward, but he's got no end product at the end of it. So if you can get forward, but you've got no end product, what's the point in you getting forward? Would be the issue for Udogie being on the left, going forward on the left side.
Do we think
for
he's
me? I would look to get rid of him.
I mean, will he be fit? That's the question. Will he be?
Agreed. Which is why I would look to get rid of him this summer if I could, as quick as possible, because you don't know how long that he will be before he gets another injury.
But Philly, what you're seeing, we're seeing a big window this year. We're seeing a big window because after 2 17th place finishes, we've got players that are constantly injured. De Zerbi's been brought in to lift the club up. So you're getting a lot of ins and outs this year. Once he's had a full season with the players, you're going to see a lot of ins and outs next year because they're going to be players there that he's looked at and thought, okay, I'll keep him. I can't, listen, he said he's only got 10 or 12 players. Well, that's out of a squad of 28. So that's between 16 and 18. So I think he probably knows already who he thinks can play, who he thinks can't play, and who he's unsure about. So the ones he probably thinks can't play, they're going to go. The ones he's unsure about, because he's probably getting 18-8 out or 18-10 out, he can't clear too many out. He's got to have a squad.
Agreed.
And so next year you'll probably you're going to get another big in and out window because he would have had a year to see which players are taking the club on that are going to go with him to where he wants to go to. So I think this will be a big window. I think there's going to be lots of ins and outs still to come, and I think the same thing will happen next year for that reason that he'll see where we go this year, and he'll say, right, we've got to here. How am I going to get to there? Which players are going to take me there? Which players aren't? You know, you're going to get.
That's our hope. That's our hope, Lubo, but we
Right.
don't know. This is Spurs.
And that's also dependent on the football club, doing what they're doing this season, taking stock of themselves and realising that these players aren't going to be the ones to carry us further. Forget how much money you can make off them. Do what's right for the club in that aspect. The same like Arsenal did, with Özil, and Aubameyang. Sometimes you got to take a loss to get the bigger victory and let it run down the line.
Yeah. Well, he wanted them out of the dressing room, Arteta. He wanted not Ozil. He wanted Aubameyang, Lacazette, and David Luiz. Those were the three that he spoke to after the first.
And Arsenal took a loss from each one of them, Lubo. And this is the thing: a club backs the manager, whether it's not just buying players but getting players out if the manager doesn't want them there in the dressing room. Listen.
They're running with De Zerbi at the moment, aren't they? They're giving him 100% backing. He's bringing in who he wants. He's getting rid of who he wants. There's no interference. He's doing, he's running the show. Now, he's got to get a global scouting network in place, because we can't keep paying 65. If Savio's 65, Ben Hecker's 52, Tonali's 100. Fernandes is 85. You
can't. Every window can't be that, right?
That's 300 million. It's not going to be like that. 300 million for 4 players, and he hasn't finished yet. So you can't keep paying massive money when with good scouting you can pick players up for 20, 30, 40 million.
Agreed.
It shouldn't be difficult. So, but he's got a situation now where he's got to move quickly. He's got to get the players in fast. So he's looking at it and he's thinking, right, I've got to minimise my risks now. So I've got to go for players who I know will hit the ground running, because they're all used to the Premier League. And that's the advantage of buying Premier League players. You're not looking at a situation where it can take a player half a season. He hasn't got half a season. He's got to get going from match day one.
Right, so now I got a disadvantage of buying a Prem proven player. It's like the Prem tax on top of it. So each signing that you make here is going to be astronomical due to the fact that you're signing Premier League players.
Sure.
So this is why I look at the win. Thank for mercies here. We just did the World Cup, Lubo, because there's players out there in the other leagues here that you could easily take advantage of. For example, Atalanta. I'm looking at Atalanta, and they've just had bad news. They're not selling Edison. Why not just try for someone like Charles de Ketelaere, for example? That he wouldn't cost a fraction of what it costs to get someone like Krupi. But these are not what Spurs are looking at. Like you said, they're looking at Prem-proven players, and for that aspect alone.
But we've not had a scouting network to do that this summer, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I've said is really important for me, is that this window, I get it. The Spurs are going to splash big on Premier League proven players. You can't drop 300-400 million every window.
Of course you can.
Right? You can't. You have to be able to, and that's why when people are saying things like, "Oh my God, Bergvall going," you think if Spurs have spent 16 to 20 million pounds for Vuskovic and Bergvall coming into the club,
19.5, and you're going to get 100 million back.
Right? You've bought Tonali. You've bought Tonali with 2 players that weren't first team footballers. Now, that's great business. I think Spurs fans, we're so not used to this club running like a proper business, right, for years, that we've not run operationally well, that when we start doing it, I think we shit the bed. Like when people are going, oh, my God, but what if Vuskovic turns out to be the greatest? So what? So what? What if he does? So what? We've got players for now. We've bought players for Tottenham for now, not what ifs in 4 years' time. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone's going to regret letting somebody go at some stage. But this is like when fans say to me, oh, I bet City regret letting Cole Palmer go. Why? Why would they? They got Silva. They got Foden. They've got Cherky.
They'll go get somebody else.
You push them off for big money and you reinvest. That's the right thing for Tottenham to be doing right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Mate, Real Madrid have done it this summer with Nico Paz, for example. They sold him for 60 million to Koima.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Listen, I think we're doing the right thing. And I get it, right? I think everyone is always so worried about what is happening in 3 or 4 years. You know, who was it who said last week, De Zerbi is destroying our future? And you think, this is a man who's bringing in players ready for now that are very good. And all some of our fans are worried about is, oh, but I like Bergvall and whufc.
Sav,
what are we doing?
I think De Zerbi will get round to that side of the business, but he's got to get the first team sorted. I'm talking about. I didn't say first team squad. I said first team. You know, as far as the kids, he's not going to be happy that Thompson is leaving. You know, you look at someone like United who do give kids a better pathway than we do.
Oh my gosh!
It's going to bench Mourinho.
Sean.
Oh, Sean. Oh, Sean. Oh, Sean.
I've got to tell you that he is Sean. Listen, full marks to Sean. He's backing his guy. I can't see it. I just can't see it.
Well, this is it, Lugo, right? This is the season. Like, he's gonna have a great comparison of somebody close to his age, right? Skill level wise, like they're both, have experience, like in the Premier League. So whoever wins, right?
Listen, in fairness to tell, he made some key. You look at his input that were key. He chased down the guy, won the ball, played him off him for a corner that finished up with Paulinho scoring. That was massive. The cross in for Richie against Villa, the goal against Leeds were all key parts of Spurs staying up.
He also almost face kicked somebody that got him.
Okay. There was that as well.
We have to balance it, but you're fair. But this is the time, right? This is the time for him. He's the age. He's been here. He knows the club. He doesn't need to settle in. He knows the pace of the Premier League, right? I mean, it's like either you kick on now or like you got to go somewhere else next summer.
Gary, when we talk about kicking on, though, I mean, look, I think it's well documented that I do not rate Tell in any way, shape, or form. I think he is painful to watch, but I just think if he was that good, why are we going to buying a left winger? Do you know what I mean? Like if he was that good,
of course,
we're going to buy another winger who's roughly.
I'm going with what we have, Sav. Right? I'm just saying, like, unless we go for two, that's what I'm saying. Like, he would not be my choice. I think maybe he will have a great year, but I think more than likely, I'm hoping next summer, Tell and Odegaard are gone. Right? Like, I'm hoping that they're both gone, and then we're starting to look for either somebody who's better. What is Sean saying?
He's so funny. I'm looking forward to Sean's Tell getting 5 minutes off the bench every Saturday.
I love it.
But one of the comments I saw, right, was, and this is where I don't think people do their homework. Nothing to do with Tell, by the way. So some people going, he's destroying our future. De Zerbi doesn't like young players. So went and done a little bit of research and looked at some of the players he brought in and started at Brighton. He loves young players. I think what people are getting confused about is he likes good young players. Right? And I think this is what we always talk about, the age. And the age, for some reason, seems to trump ability in some people's minds. Mm-hmm. He was starting Caicedo, was young, right? He was starting Evan Ferguson, who was young. He was starting when he bought Van Hecker, was young. Verbruggen was young. Like, these players were all young footballers, but he liked them, plays them. If he is letting people go like Bergvall, he must have a reason, right? Like, I get it, right? I'm not a Bergvall fan, so I've got no worry about him going. I thought I'd misread yesterday. I thought it said 4.5 million instead of 45 million, because I can't believe anyone's paying anywhere near 50 million for a guy that doesn't have like.
I wouldn't admit being so wrong on screen, Sav. Honestly, mate.
Wrong about what? No one, including you, can tell me anything Bergvall is good at.
I sent you the text yesterday. I answered you yesterday.
But what is he good at?
Carrying the ball, he gets around the pitch quickly. He closes people down. He just needs to slow down a bit make his
So he
make
clo-
his final decision.
So
Pass wise,
closing
cross wise,
people
better.
down is now currency, is it? Closing people down that should be a prerequisite is now his strength as a footballer.
Well, it would have been nice to have seen that Wednesday night, wouldn't it? When Enzo had the ball 20 yards out and there wasn't anyone but for 10 yards away. You know, it's closing down is important.
Sure, but most of his closing down results in him giving away free kicks because he just clatters into people.
Yeah.
I just don't look at a player and go, yeah, look at his closing down, it's brilliant. Sure, players close down. Yeah, Bernardo Silva closed down loads of players, but he's also a talented world-class footballer.
But that's what you're supposed to do. You have to do that as a midfielder. I mean, like
exactly, that's the job.
That's like the basics of being a midfielder. He passes it forward and backward all the time. He doesn't have a ton of great like forward passing, progressive passing. Like he carries the ball, but then we saw last season he gets in the final third and then it just freaking goes out the window, right? Like he just doesn't have anything beyond like this one attribute. It seems like right now. So maybe
why are several Premier League clubs interested in him? If he's that bad, if he's got such a small skill set. Why have Villa inquired, Forest inquired, Newcastle inquired, I think Chelsea inquired, Liverpool inquired previously? How come all these clubs?
And which one of them does he play for?
Well, let's see where he starts during this window because he hasn't been up for sale before now. So
so if he ends up at Forest or Newcastle, what does that tell us?
That they fancy him more than we fancy him.
But that doesn't tell me anything where I go, oh shit, he's gone to. Even then, go to Chelsea. All right, is he starting for Chelsea? Is Bergvall going to start above Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo? This guy's not starting for them.
Well, listen, they're your three, aren't they? Always in midfield at the moment. While the three of them are there, they're your three players.
Sure.
Although Enzo wants to go to Real Madrid, doesn't he?
Yeah, Real Madrid told him no.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any footballer wants to go and play for Real Madrid. But my point is, Lubo, is all right, if he goes to Forest, and I was actually having this chat yesterday on WhatsApp with Wolfie. I said, like, the way you guys play, where would you see Bergvall going in? Like, is he going to go in as the direct Elliot Anderson replacement when he's not anywhere? Obviously slightly different because they've got a new manager, so we have to take that into account. But where do you see him starting for Forest? Like who's he? He's not better than Sangare, is he? He's not better than Morgan Gibbs White. So what does I don't know. I'm not seeing anything in him. I'm sorry. I've been very consistent on this for 2 years. I've not seen anything in him. And when I see £45 million bids, I'm like, that is amazing. Rafi Mawson is a legend if he can get that much money for a sub.
Well, Forest allegedly have offered 38, Newcastle 46, and Spurs have said no to both. If the reports are true. So Spurs are saying they don't want to sell him. If clubs want him, then they're going to have to pay more money.
Sure. I just hope we don't. Okay, the way I look at it, right, is I'll look at this. We've just signed Matheus Fernandes, who is 10 months older than Graham Bergvall, if I'm not wrong. I think they're the same school year, maybe 1 year above, right? Look at the levels, right? Look at the levels. That's a footballer. Watch Matheus. That's a footballer. Now I look at Bergvall and go, why are people upset? Like are you going to be sad to see him go, Lubo? Like what is it that what will Tottenham miss if Bergvall goes? What does he bring to the party that we're going to miss?
I personally, I'm delighted with the two midfield boys that have joined. Who wouldn't be? So for me, if losing Bergvall is a consequence, then you lose Bergvall, but you get a nice meaty amount of money, because I do think somewhere down the line he'll develop into an established Premier League player. I think he's got it. I think I think he's got the skill sets. I think it's been a shit show at Spurs the last 2 years, sir.
No. Good. Listen, Matheus Fernandes has been in two teams that have got relegated and stands out by a
Oh.
country mile because he's a top footballer. This notion. I'm sorry, hang on. No, look, I'm gonna land here, as my mate Sean would say.
Listen,
I'm gonna land.
Players develop at different times, son. Players develop at different times.
Sure, but by the age of 20, you talk about youth a lot. You talk about age. By the age of 20, put it this way: when I remember when I was working down at Chelsea, one of the coaches there always said, by the young age, 17, 18, I need to know what a player is, right? Never going to be the finished article. His body hasn't finished growing, but I know what the player is. I know his skill sets. I know where he can be developed, right? Bergvall is 20 years of age, right? Has been a pro footballer for 4 or 5 seasons, has played football probably from the age of 4, 5, right?
5, sure.
What age are we all, right? And we're still going. What's he good at? He closes down. Like, he's not good on the ball. He's not good crossing. He doesn't create. He doesn't score. He can't dictate a game. He's not good in the tackle. So I'm saying, if between the ages of 4 and 20, I can't, this is only me personally, I can't see anything where I go, yeah, you've got it. I look at Mateus Fernandes and you go, just watch his footwork, like watch his feet. That's a footballer, right? So this whole, it's been a shit show at Spurs, but look, being in a shit show doesn't stop a player showing their ability. It doesn't. It's too easily used as an excuse for all of these.
If anything, the better players would shine right through. If the boy had quality, the better players would come out from the mire, and you'd actually see them represent more. So that's a bad thing.
I thought season 1 Bergvall was much better than season 2. Last year was also he was in and out with injuries. You know, he didn't play as many games as he did anywhere near the previous season. Listen, I think he'll do better off at another club. If De Zerbi doesn't fancy him, and obviously he doesn't, because he's got 5 midfielders at the moment. Well, he's got 6 midfielders at the club, and he's not said no to bids coming in. So Bergvall's obviously the first. Well, Basuma's gone into contract. Palhinha's not been taken back, so those 2 have gone. I think Saul will be the next to go after Bergvall. And he obviously likes Gray. Why wouldn't he? So he's keeping Gray at the club. And we'll see.
But doesn't this fall back to what Savva said before, with the earlier point that he always said, Spurs should never have bought Gray, and bought Bergvall at the same time. And if they'd bought Gray,
they didn't Philly. They bought Bergvall in the January, but they left him on loan till the end of the season.
Yeah, I know, but they came in the same
window. They bought him in.
But you know what?
Come on,
I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to die on a hill on that one. Personally, you know how I feel about Gray. I think he'll make it at Spurs. Do I think we needed him at the time? I mean, I've always liked George Abbott. I think he's a cracking player, and I think Gray coming to the club has cost him. So for me, I'd like to see Abbott back at the club. Let's see. But at least De Zerbi's going to stop buying, letting Lange go and buy all these kids.
Luca, I was going to defend you actually on this point. I was going to say, it wasn't about Archie Gray coming in for the money. It was about, if you're going to have one of them, you pick between Archie Gray or Lucas Bergvall. You don't bring both of them in at the same time. That was the issue that I had. Had one of them come in, being able to come in as the back, as like a 5th choice. Come in, fill in for those moments, supplement the squad. It would have been better for both of them. Unfortunately, we bought both at the same time, and this is what caused that. That basically means that both of them didn't get the attention they needed for their development, which is what I looked at when you first signed them.
The problem there, Philly, was that the summer that we bought Gray and Bergvall in, they got rid of Højbjerg, Skip, Ndombele, Lo Celso, and didn't replace any of them. The only established first team player that Postecoglou bought was Solanke.
Agreed.
He was the only one, and they bought 4 kids, which was ridiculous because, you know, you're losing. Okay, so listen, I like Lascelles, so the problem was that he was made of glass. But, you know, you lose Højbjerg, you're losing leadership inside the club. You've got to replace that. If whatever players go, you've got to replace those strengths, those skill sets that those players have got. Kane went, Højbjerg went, Lloris went, all in a short period of time, and all the leadership qualities that were in that club all went. They all went. So
I think we all know it was another one of Tottenham's terrible windows, right? We all knew that, but I just think the thing for me is, listen, I get it. I said to you at the beginning of the summer, I said, forget what I think of Gray, because again, another one I don't really rate, but I think he will keep Gray because he's English, because I actually think Gray is better than Bergvall, by the way. I think loads of people said for ages. All I heard people say was Bergvall's much better than Gray. And the more I've watched them, I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, I will caveat, I don't rate either for Tottenham, but Gray is a better footballer than Bergvall on the ball. I think he's more composed, and I actually see Gray doing some bits. But look, the problem you've got, guys, is with no Europe, you're playing 1 game a week, right? And how many central midfielders? Like when I went on that show the other day, and I was arguing with them all about keeping Paulinho. You're like, well, how many central midfielders do you need when you are playing 1 game a week, right? You can't just have 6 or 7 centre mids, because 2 of them know they're playing. Let's be brutally honest. Tonali and Fernandes, I think we're all expecting to see that as the 2, right? Yeah. I'll be absolutely pissed off with De Zerbi if that is not the midfield double pivot, right? You've then got Conor Gallagher and Bentancur and Gray. You don't need number 6 and number 7. You don't. You can have a Ulasesi. You need a 6th choice or 7th. But you don't need Bergvall. You don't need Paulinho. You know, you can only have.
We don't need Sarr either. Like, he needs to go too. Like it's time. Yeah. And we keep on talking about, do we want a pathway from the academy or do we not? So we're gonna have to make the tough choices. Get the money and use it elsewhere, like we talked about, to get some top players, right? Especially up front. And then, like we say, if Gray's the one that we think we want to, the club wants to work with, De Zerbi, whoever, then make him it, and that's it. And then if we can bring somebody else up, but that's about it. We don't have tons of room this season. There's just there aren't the minutes, even if they play in the Carabao Cup, right? Or early FA Cup, with our draw. Like, that's the only place they're going to get time, or at the end of the game.
Even with that, now imagine De Zerbi in the FA Cup or the League Cup, rotated. Everyone's going to go, hang on, we're playing 1 game a week. Why are you not taking those 2 cups seriously, right? So, again, if I'm Tonali, if I'm Fernandes, if I'm Maddison, whoever, Kudus, I'm wanting to play in the League Cup games. I'm wanting to play because I'm playing once a week.
Yeah.
You can't rotate, right? Because if you rotate, you are turning around to someone and going, you're playing 1 game every 14 days. Right? 1 game every 14 days. If you rotate, that's not a lot.
Sav, you're going to get injuries. You're going to get illness. You're going to get suspensions. We're talking like none of this is going to happen. And when are these guys going to get games if he's going to stick with the 11? There will be. Listen, with our injury record, it's hard to think that players will go through the season scot-free. I mean, sure, but the only one is Porro, isn't it? He's the only one.
Lubo, you can only have so many players, though.
Yeah.
Like, I hear this every day on shows. Fans talk, just keep him as a backup, buy him as a backup. We never seem to think about, what about the player? Like, people are going, just keep Jed Spence as backup, left back, right back. If I'm Jed Spence, I'm 25, Jed Spence.
Yeah.
Right, I'm 25 years of age. Am I not thinking to myself, I don't want to be a bit part player anymore. I want to play. Now, not all players. We don't know every player's personality, but any player with something about them isn't going to go. And this was it with Paulinho the other day. Oh, we could have bought him. He would have been happy just sitting on a bench. How do we know that?
No,
Like-
they don't. We're not challenging for anything. It's not like, hey, we're about to win the league next year and potentially win Champions League, and we'll probably win a cup. So being a rotational player, not necessarily like picked every time, is going to get you a ton of minutes because you're going to go deep into every single tournament and you're going to get, hardware. Like that's not us right now, right? We're 2-17 finishes. We got the Europa, which was great. And we're on a reset right now. So I can see why Spence is like, hey, I want to go kick on. I want to go somewhere. I want to be the main man.
Do you know what? I'm going to add something. Do you know what? I'm thinking my mind readers have. I said this in the chat earlier. I think there's a comment I said earlier in the chat, and it goes, if a player is happy to sit at Spurs and play backup, that player should be sold automatically anyway, because you don't have the mentality to kick on. Yeah. I don't want to see players come into the squad happy to sit on the bench not doing anything. You need to be actually doing something, offering competition for places. If you're happy just to be going along, and just not doing anything, and you don't have the drive or the passion to go and want to go and win something, then you should go.
Yeah.
Because you don't have
Philly. Do you remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
and how many? Yeah, but Lubo, he actually won stuff off the bench.
He was happy. He was on the bench, and he was happy to be on the bench. I always
but we're not winning anything.
But look at what he won.
He didn't win, but if he's on the bench, do you really win? I mean, you win it, but it's not like, oh, I was on the court, I was on the pitch, I was on whatever sport. That should be for every sport. You don't just want to be a bench rider,
right?
Like that.
But you do get, but Philly, if nobody would want to be on the bench, you'd have a squad of 11 players, wouldn't you? So
no,
but that's you wouldn't have your Dan So's of this world, would you? That are happy to be squad players.
No, Lubo.
Of course, but I think the problem that we've got though is if you are being offered like 45, 50 million for a bench player, that's good money that you reinvest in the team, right? That's good money. And I'm not saying that no players are going to ever sit on a bench. Of course, different stages in their career, different moments, prove yourself, all this kind of stuff. I get that. But when you're playing once a week, Lubo, you can't have 7 or 8 centre mids in your squad.
No, of course not.
Five
is fine.
Fine. It's going to be 5, right? And a couple of youth players. Gray for me is the 5th. Right, You've got Gray, who is the 5th. You've got Bentancur and Gallagher, and then Tonali and Fernandes. That's your 5.
And I do think so. I mean, he's already got Luca Williams-Barnett training with the first team since he came back last week. So if he fancies Barnett, then you may see him on the bench, for several games as well as just maybe a 6th or a hybrid, whatever, hybrid 10. Class player. Be very interesting. Very, very interesting to see if he can make that jump up because he's so talented.
Luca Williams.
Luca Williams-Barnett. He's so talented. And you know what? And what was good was that Spurs were playing in the under-19 Champions League trophy last season, and he was destroying teams that were coming that Spurs were playing from abroad. So it's not just in England that he was smashing it up.
No, sure.
Yeah, but he needs a loan, though, isn't it? He's another one who's going to need a loan.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think if he's that good, then I think he will go. He will work his way into the first team.
How?
Within a year or two, but he's got to start somewhere.
I mean, like, who's he going to really displace right now?
You could see him replacing Maddison in a couple of year or two.
That's a big jump.
I mean, but these are big statements, right? Like
if he makes it, these
are big statements. And no offense, Lou, but I've heard you talk about 15 different youth players in the last 3 years like this, and none of them have done it. None of them have made it. But as I said at the beginning of the show, Luca Williams-Barnett, when I watch him for the youth team, you can see he's a special talent. But when we're talking about replacing Maddison, well, hang on.
No, Gary asked me a question. Where could you see him playing in a year or two's time? That, for me, would probably be, if you're looking at it logically, Maddison's 30, he's injury prone. That, and knowing where Luca Williams-Barnett plays, if he makes it, that could be the position that he takes.
Sure. Okay. Do you think he'll displace Xavi?
It boils down. Just what I say. Just what I just said.
Do you know what? It's going to be an interesting season, isn't it? I know that it's probably going to be more interesting than for many years because we seem to have a manager who's pulled the club out of a coma, and he's getting stuff done. I'm really looking forward to this season because he's bringing.
I'm looking forward to it if we buy forwards. I'll be honest.
Yeah, he's bringing in quality players. I can't see at this stage. He's got his reserve keeper. He wants Vicario. Well, Vicario wants out anyway. He's brought Robertson in. When you look at, you've got Udogie. They've kept Davis, which I didn't understand. If you're keeping him because he's going to take his coaching badges and he's at the club and you keep him at the club, then I can understand that. And if he's there as a makeshift and as an emergency, I don't know, 5th, 6th, 7th centre back, if we have a shocking run of injuries and we need him to be on the bench, for argument's sake, then okay, then I can understand that. But you've got plenty of left backs. De Zerbi is sorting out his defence. He's sorting out his midfield, and the last thing is the attack. He's working his way through the team. We've seen what he wants to do regarding the keeper. He wants to give Kinski a run out. He wants to give him an opportunity. He's giving him a 5-year contract. Actions speak louder than words. Vicario's on his way. He's brought Dubravka in, who whenever I watched him play for Burnley, and I know it was Burnley, I know they were on the back foot for virtually every game last season, but Dubravka looked good last season. You couldn't say that he would come in and he'd be out of his depth if Kinski got injured. So for me, he's worked from the back. He's got the forwards to sort out. He's halfway through the window. We've got just over 6 weeks. We've got 6.5 weeks to the end of the window. I'm sure he'll get players.
Yeah, I've got no doubt about that. I just think that if we bring this back to what we were talking about with the youth, I just feel that I don't know, like too many people are losing their mind over losing young players, and I just think Spurs have put themselves in this horrible position where we've handled everything so badly for so many years that unfortunately some of these youngsters are going to be the victim of that. But I am also very ruthless and I'm of the opinion, if you are not good enough, you are not good enough, right? And unfortunately, most of the kids that get praised aren't good enough. And that's not Tottenham. That's every club in the country. Everyone goes, oh my God, you want to see this kid playing for, oh yeah, he's going to be the next. You never hear from them, right? And that's what Spurs need to do. It's how we need to act.
Yeah, 4% was the figure I saw a few weeks ago, last few years, of the academy players that actually get into their first team from the academy.
Get an appearance.
4%. 4%.
Right. It's tiny. It's tiny. You go down to any academy. Lubo, you go down to any academy today, right? Any academy. You'll see the under 19s, under 18s, 17s, 16s, 15s, 14s, all of this, all the way through. You've got hundreds and hundreds of kids, and every kid is being talked about as core, this. Realistically, if you go down to an academy today and you look at all of the players from the age of 14 to 19, maybe one of them at any academy you might see in the next 3 years. And that's unfortunately, that's it. Because most of them end up either dropping out of football altogether or they will naturally drop into lower leagues. And that is why I don't ever understand how much our fans talk about our youngsters. We talk about them with such certainty that this is the best. None of them actually go on to do it.
I think from my point of view, some of the best players, my favourite Spurs players have been through the years have been academy players, people like Perryman, Hoddle, King, Kane. But it's funny, I was on holiday reading a book about the 86-87 season when Pleat came in and we got Richard Goff for that year. And you look at the players that came through the academy and you just think how much it's changed from then to now. You had Vinnie Sandways, you had David Howes, you had Paul Miller, you had Glenn Hoddle, you had Mickey Hazard.
Yeah, but this is the days of money now, right?
Academy. And it's you had 5 players, through the aces, Perryman 6, and it's such a shame that we just don't have, that football's changed. It's become global.
Of course.
So the chances of
okay, but let me ask you this, right? And this is of all football fans, right? This is where I find it funny. So many football fans are constantly going on about one of our own, youth players, so-and-so is going to make it. If I turn around to anyone right now and said, right, Will Lancashire is going to be our number 1 striker next season, right? Who's taking that?
No, none of us.
Anyone in the chat, right? There's just under 800 people in the chat. 723, not 93. There's 723 people in the chat, right? Who's taking Will Lancashire as your number 1 striker? And this isn't me having a go at Lancashire, but this is the point of when we're saying we want to see these players come through. For these players to come through, in essence, this is what we're saying. We're saying, I want that young player in the team. Cool. Do you want that young player in the team at the expense of Spurs actually buying a top striker? And this is the difference, because now you're playing 1 game a week. Now you're going, okay, I don't want Lancashire as my number 1 striker. Cool. Lancashire is going to be my number 2 striker. So now, look, hear me out, lads, right? Let's play this through. Now, Will Lancashire is my number 2 striker in a team where we play 1 game a week. So Will Lancashire is coming on probably in games where you're winning easily and he gets 10, 15 minutes. But now all of a sudden, my number 1 striker does his ACL. I'm now left with Will Lancashire as my number 1 striker for the season. So that puts him down to, actually, let's have him as striker number 3. Now, if you're striker number 3 at a club that play 1 up top, you're not getting minutes in a team that play 1 game a week. So when people say, about youth and not getting a chance, you have to ask, what is it you want? Because if they are not if they are not Wayne Rooney, like Wayne Rooney goes in and you go, shit, he's good enough to be the man at 16, 17. If they are not ready to be the man, how do you on one, not you, I'm fans, how on one hand do you say, we've got no pathway and this kid can't get a game? But on the other hand, if a manager did say, I'm not buying Senesi, I'm not buying a Van Hecker, Byfield's going to be my number 1 centre-half this season, fans will go mad, right? So it's a very difficult balancing act to how do you get these kids game time?
And that's the question that we're having moving forward with who are we bringing in and who are we bringing out, right, for that striker position. I know we talk about De Zerbi doesn't play with a traditional striker, but we still need goals. We still need somebody up top. Richie seems like he's just going to try to camp here for the rest of his life and never go.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Good for him. Like, he's got balls, but like, he's got to go. Like, we've seen him. He has the worst first touch ever. So it's like, who are we going to get this summer? And it seems like Krupi's just, he's too expensive and Bournemouth really don't want to sell him right now. Will they? Maybe, towards the end of the window, pressure builds, money's there. I'm questioning.
That could be what Spurs, that deal, whether it goes through or not, could be depending on what Spurs will spend.
Yeah.
And just maybe they're looking at all the other player in and outs that they're working on, and they'll come back to Krupi once they know what the money's like, where they finished up in terms of.
I just don't think
the ins and outs.
Just to feel it, I think Bournemouth are gonna, and they've got every right to do this. By the way, I think Bournemouth are just gonna go, you want him, give us 120. Like I think like they're gonna just go, we don't need to sell him. They're not strapped for cash. They're a team on the up. They're in Europe for the first time. And my reservations on Krupi, Lubo. It's not, and again, it's not ability, but it is. If I'd said to anybody, right, Spurs are going to smash their transfer record to bring in a forward across all of world football, is Krupi the guy? It's a big risk, right? It's a big risk.
Listen, it's big money, isn't it? Yeah. It's big money. It's a lot. It's a lot more in terms of the type of player he is, and I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Thierry Henry, but Arsenal spent a lot of money on Henry from Milan, I think it was. But this is enormous money. This is enormous money. And listen, Wenger turned Henry into the player that he became. Maybe De Zerbi thinks that he can do the same thing with Groupie.
By the way, that's not me saying if he comes, I don't like it. He's got to, same. I'll say with Savio. If you bring in these players and they're the players he's wanted, it's now on him to show everyone why. I'm all for it. I just think, again, it comes back to what we were saying earlier, Lubo. Because we haven't scouted for years properly, you could probably find a Groupie somewhere across the world that will cost you 30 million. But because we haven't scouted properly, we don't know who that is.
The last top window we had was 2015, summer of 2015, when they bought Toby, Sonny, and Deli. That was the last top window that we had. That's 11 years ago.
Yeah,
11 years ago.
I mean, Sav, which team has really developed? I'm just talking about across the Premier League, a young killer, right, at that age. And I'm trying to go back to think who was the last great player
in terms of a striker.
Yeah, in terms of a striker, that's not an easy thing to do.
Who in the Premier League? Here's a good question, right? I don't know the answer, by the way, because Gary's just brought this up. Who in the Premier League can we think of that has a striker in their squad that plays regularly that's come through their youth setup? I don't know the answer, by the way. I don't know if anyone has.
You talking about Chelsea number 9? You talking about a number 9?
Yeah, number 9. No,
yeah,
we're talking about number 9. We're talking about a striker. We're talking about or a false 9 is fine, but who?
Oh.
Man United haven't got any. Right? City haven't got any.
The only forward that Arsenal got, I say forward, not striker, is Saka.
Yeah, Saka loosely as a wide man. Yeah, but do you see my point? Like they're United bought through Greenwood, obviously whatever happened there, but there isn't any, right? Gary, it's a great point. No one, we went through that era where Fowler came through. At the same, then Michael Owen came through. At the same time, you had people like Darren Huckabee coming through and Andy Cole, and there was loads of them coming through their academies. Now, who's got one? Like who's even got one as a second choice?
But do you know what? I just think that there are very few. How many Drogbas are out there today?
Yeah.
Diego Costas.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Evan Ferguson, and what happens to him? Brighton quoted Spurs 120 million or something ridiculous. But
again, another one that at the time everyone lost their mind. This is the best strike. This is the new Harry Kane. Right. And then 4 or 5 seasons later, I'm going, can anyone tell me right now where he is?
I was just looking.
The last time I saw with Turia.
So, but I think it's a great point, right? And that's why when we're talking about how do players like Lancashire become Premier League strikers, I think they become Premier League strikers by leaving, going to different leagues or lower leagues, and working their way back up the food chain.
Well, I've got to say, Spurs have turned down 3 offers for Lancashire already this summer.
Sure. But is he going to be our number 1 striker? No,
my personal opinion is that we'll buy a striker. When you say striker, it could be a Thierry Henry type striker. It doesn't have to be a Drogba type striker.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have Solanke's too. And I think you'll have, if Lancashire performs, because I heard that De Zerbi liked the videos, what he saw on video from Lancashire last season, and wants to have a look at him in pre-season. So if he likes him, he'll keep him as his 3, and if he doesn't, he'll get rid of him.
Sure.
So,
by the way,
wouldn't it be nice to get a player coming through at Tottenham who spent God knows how many years in Arsenal's academy? That would be a nice one as well.
Listen, I'm
not. We're talking about Balogun now.
No, Lancashire.
Oh, sorry, man. I was hoping to talk about Balogun being the striker option for Spurs, to be fair.
No,
when you talk about
that.
and stuff.
I would take Balogun because that boy can lead the line, right? That boy can lead the line. I'm not saying he's a 25 goal a season man. I don't think many of those exist, but he runs the line, he holds the ball up, he gets into the box. I wouldn't be against Balogun as an option and wouldn't cost the fucking earth either.
Agreed.
I wouldn't be against him. Just me personally. I'm not saying he's number one choice or whatever, but you know. Let me ask you guys.
I agree, Sav. He's got the attributes to lead the line. He'd be perfect. For Spurs' level right now, he'd be a striker that I'd be comfortable watching at Tottenham Hotspur. That's the level I think that Spurs should be aspiring to.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not expecting him to go and sign an Oshie. No way.
Yeah.
Sky Sports have just put up the most touches in the World Cup. Who do you think's had the most touches in the World Cup?
Well, if you brought it up, it's got to be Messi, surely.
It's not Lionel.
No,
Rodri.
If I brought it up, like he's the only player I rate. Yeah, Lionel Messi.
Was it Rodri?
Yeah, it's Rodri, and he's got 160 touches more than anybody else. Like number 2 is 160 touches below him. So when people talk to me about the importance of a bloke that pulls the strings in midfield, Paredes is up there. Rodri, Kabasi, is up there as well. Kabasi's had the second most. Guys,
so that boy is underrated in there. I've said this on my channel many times. Pogba, if Spurs players are generational, what is Pogba to everybody out there? Because that man there is levels.
Yeah, but those young players are the level that our fans seem to think our young players are. Like there's been so many young players at this tournament that you go, yeah, you can play, and there's no excuse of age. But you know, Kabasi he's been in the Barca first team for 2.5 seasons now.
Agreed. At the age of 17, I think he broke through there, you know.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Talking of centre-backs in the World Cup, what do we think about the one for Argentina?
Romero? Yeah. Christian Romero is the personification of Argentina. I was watching a podcast this morning, and it was Lineker, Joe Cole, I think John Obi Mikel, maybe one other. And they turned around and said, what a lot of fans don't seem to understand is that Argentina just click differently when they come together as a national team. Like I said, if you look at a lot of the national teams that have really good top players all over the park, but can never get it going, England, Portugal, right? Brazil. So when Argentina, they've got this club-like mentality that Scaloni has created over the last 8 years. If we're going to talk about international football, let's do it, right? And so you've got Messi, who's at MLS. Rodrigo de Paul is at MLS, and people go, oh, they're past it. They go into that Argentina team, and the fight, the togetherness, and all these people are going, oh, FIFA have fixed it for them, and they cheat. This is they've won 3 tournaments in a row, right? They've won 3 tournaments in a row. This will be 4 tournaments in a row if they win tomorrow night. That is ridiculous. No national team does that. And yet they get no credit because they have got a bit of dark arts, right? Because they are in your face, because they've got the likes of Romero jumping in people. I just think England need a bit of that, right? I think England could learn a little bit from what this Argentina team do rather than constantly moan about them. Just saying.
Yeah,
Just saying.
The conversation listening last night on TalkSport was, what is England's DNA? And I thought it was a really fascinating one because, you know, they were talking about, hey, you know, with the Brazilians, you get flair. With Argentina, you know, like we're saying, like Argentina, right? They've got Messi, but they're also like in your face. France, you know, they're working on it right now, obviously, and hopefully with Zidane. Germany, you know, they're very efficient, right? And powerful, but direct. And like with Spain, yeah, and Spain, like we know what Spain is, right? But with England, like you have very powerful, footballers with pace, but it's like, how do you utilize that, right? And how do you build it from like the bottom up where all the kids coming through, right, like just can like easily slide in. And so it was a fascinating conversation.
I love those types of conversations. It's you know, they were talking about they were talking this morning and said, like, have you ever seen a team that are so behind their captain, it's unreal. Like everything they do, they show them walk into training, the Argentina players. They protect Messi from everything, from the media. Like it's almost like we must win for this man. And we know if we wrap him in cotton wool, he will win it for us. And listen, I get it. I get why people get frustrated with them. I get it. The dark arts, but they found a formula that is bloody difficult to beat. They never know when they're beaten. This is what I was saying in the chat yesterday. I get that Thomas Tuchel was poor. I get that. I think I've said all along, if you're going to replace Southgate, don't do it with Tuchel, right? But at the same time, no one gives them any credit. And they just keep winning tournament after tournament. They don't lose games of football. When did Argentina last lose a game of football? I don't know the answer, by the way. When did they lose games?
If ever a game, yeah, corporates Argentina, yeah, it's the Egypt games ever. They were 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. And somehow, yeah, some way, they not only got back into the game, they won the games ever in normal time. In 10 minutes, they've scored 3 goals. And then even in the Switzerland game, yeah, right, and big up Perchy for waking me up in the morning. Yes, look, I watched the Switzerland, I watched that game as well.
Why would he do that?
Because England happened to play on that day as well, didn't they? So I ended up watching the Switzerland versus Argentina. Thank you. And even though Argentina scored early on in the first 10 minutes from McAllister, all right, Switzerland got back into the game, and Switzerland have a tough defense. They are a very difficult team to break down. Yeah, Argentina kept plugging away, and they found a way to get through. And Alvarez scored that stunning strike here, and that was like a dagger to them, because you're thinking that Switzerland put everything they had into that, and then Argentina found a way, scored that goal, and then they scored the third one to cap it off. And guess who scored the third goal? Lautaro Martinez. The same guy who scored the winning goal against England this time around. This is why I said in the group chat, Argentina have a never say die attitude. They don't know when they're beaten, and they always plug on, and they always find a way.
England with the players. Look at Lautaro Martinez, right? Now compared to England, when did Tony and Watkins get on a pitch?
Exactly.
Like it was literally flog Harry Kane. Like for me, I'm not going to deep with Harry. For me, Harry Kane, to me, as this tournament went on, looked just so tired. Like he just, he's not got the best engine as it is. He looked so tired. And at no point did England go, should we mix it up a bit and why don't we get Watkins with him? Yeah. Why don't we drop Kane into midfield? Why don't we give Kane 30 minutes off? Argentina do that with Alvarez will come up, Lautaro Martinez will go on. Like they mix it up. They know how to utilize their players. And England just, I don't know. There's just something inherently wrong with England, isn't there? At tournaments, we're so bad at tournaments. I don't know, Lubo. I know you probably won't agree with this, but as I said, can anyone name me the last time England beat a team in the top 10 rankings?
That's the issue, isn't it? England get through to the last. Listen, we've had quarter, semi in the last 3 World Cups, and in the Euros, Egypt. That's right, standing on the foot. Messi assists. No, listen, Sav. You can have the opinion that Argentina have got a very good team, and have the opinion that they have been bloody fortunate with refereeing decisions this World Cup. I really do think so. I really think they have.
I think maybe one or two, but I think that.
Enzo, first 5 minutes, smashes Anderson in the back of the head. I mean, can you imagine what a Premier League referee would have done?
But do you know the funny thing about this, right, is, and this is the conversation we always have, Lubo, we're very good at pointing out when these things happen to us, right? But there's videos going around of England players smashing Lionel Messi in that second half, left, right, and centre. I'm not seeing any England fans complain about it.
Did we get near him? How come? I didn't think we got near him. Did we?
Right? The thing is, that Enzo Fernandez, it's a yellow, right? It's not a red. Like,
no, sure, it's yes, correct.
you know, listen, Lubo, you don't win 3 tournaments in a row, get to a second World Cup final in a row if it's always luck, right?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
they
that.
create their own luck as well. And you know what they do, Lubo? Compared to a team like England, they know. I said that no one ever listens to me, right? Watch Argentina. It's the same every game. First half is always a little bit flat. Argentina, it's almost like they're strolling through first half, not really in it. Second half, you can see it's almost like they go, right, let's get some movement going in the midfield with Paredes, with DePaul, and then Messi starts going, you know what? I'm gonna dictate now. And
I will say, Sav, the Switzerland game, like Switzerland lost that. They were actually on the attack, and I felt like if they wouldn't have had that stupid red card, which is their fault, like they seemed like they'd kind of started to figure Argentina out, and Argentina seemed to slow down a little bit. So to your point, like I thought that was going to be their undoing, and then they had this, it's miraculous, but it wasn't anything afoot there. So that's and this is why I think it's going to be interesting against Spain, because like you're saying, Spain's a well-oiled machine, right? Like Rodri's there. Poro's playing lights out amazingly enough, right? Like the front three, everybody's looking good. Yamal needs to step up and do something, but he's also, hopefully this will be his time to kind of shine. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it'll be brilliant.
I think what I enjoyed about Wednesday's game was the ref, by and large, let it flow, and it was like watching Argentina was like watching Leeds in the 70s with Gremlin and Hunter and Johnny Giles. Just
Norman Hunter and all them
kicking shit out of players, and that's what it was like. It was like a throwback to the 70s. When players could commit 2 or 3, 4 fouls before they got a yellow card, and the referee wanted to let it flow. He didn't want to break it up. He didn't want to have. I mean, it's funny actually because the World Cup final. Sorry,
football fans never seem to remember that a game of football is 90 minutes. Football fans, they never do. I said at 1-0 down, don't write Argentina off. This is where they go into that mode, right? Everyone at the beginning of the tournament, Spain don't look great. Spain will grow into the tournament because they are bloody fantastic. And everyone going, oh, they're not that good. They don't have goal scorers. Your mouth's done. It's like we never learn. Yet with England, we beat crap teams at the beginning of the tournament and we go, we're it. This is it. England are backwards to the other big nations. The other big nations, not all at once, but they have history of when it matters, turning up, right?
That's your DNA question is seeing it through when you get to the semi-final stage. And I think it's the mental issue with England. I think the team dug in on several occasions. I don't think anybody could say there was any lack of effort, there was any lack of pulling together. I think Wednesday went spectacularly wrong after Gordon scored. I haven't seen England it was like a surrender, wasn't it? It was like a surrender. And I think I must tell you something, Tuchel was brought in for moments like Wednesday nights, and his, for me, his expertise should have been right. We've got a problem here. Argentina 1-0 down. All of a sudden, they've stepped up a gear. They've got to get the goal back. Pickford's made 2 saves. I think there was a shot that went over the bar as well. That when the guy was well placed, all of a sudden we're under the cosh. If you're going to defend but play on the counter attack, you've got to take Kane off. Kane works. Kane's worked brilliantly at Bayern Munich, where you've had Diaz on one side and you've had Elise on the other. So you've got 2 fast wingers who counter-attack, who push defenders back. He took off Gordon, first of all. Rodgers is not that type of player. Mm-hmm. For me, he's not a Saka type or a Rashford or a Gordon or a Madueke. He had 4 wingers there. Not one of them was on the pitch in the last few minutes that could have pushed the Argentine defence back. If you're a defender and you've got Kane up front, and he's not got the legs, he hasn't got the pace, he's got the brain, but he hasn't got the pace.
Sure.
then you can push up that bit more. You don't have to have too many defenders back, and you can flood into the midfield. You can leave a couple of defenders back and flood that midfield and just overrun England. And that's what happened.
Can't we
Instead
also
of
have
having,
credit? Like,
Sorry?
I feel like what no England fans are doing at all is giving any credit that Argentina stepped up their game. And,
Agreed.
and Lionel, again, so I know you get naughty, I can mention his name. David Beckham said it. He said at 1-0, I looked over and I went, Messi's still on the pitch. He will do something. This is what Beckham said. He will do something. And the more that Messi got on the ball, the more the England players start to retreat because it's Lionel Messi. Yeah. And he changed the game for them again without scoring. And this is what I always say to you. England don't have that. We don't have that guy.
Can I add something to that bit? Just a little bit.
When things are going tough for England, right, we have not had for... I don't know. I could say for as long as I've been alive, we have not had a guy that you go, this guy will see us out the hole. Spain have it, right? The other night, Spain are 1-0 up. Rodri got everyone in a huddle and he just went like that, as if to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, we know what we're doing. And Rodri just dictated the game. 1-0 up. He dictated the game against France, who were the #1 seed, right? Spain have got Rodri that does it. Right, Argentina have got Messi that does it from attacking midfield. Right, France have got Mbappe that does it. I'm not saying every game, but has done it in tournament. England, I don't care what any of you say, we don't have that guy. Kane is not that guy. Bellingham is not that guy. We don't have that guy.
But the mercurial flair, finesse type players who can unlock a defence with a pass, he left at home.
Oh, ridiculous!
He went for athletic type players, and the problem is it's interesting. I think who was it who said so? Gary Neville was saying in an interview before the World Cup when he looked at the selection that Tuchel had made. That's great for the early stages. Correct. Gascoigne's probably the last one that I can remember. Who could come on and dictate. I mean, he was just brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, look at Scotland, Holland. I mean, just Euro 96. He was just wonderful, and the World Cup in 90. We didn't have anybody in the later stages when you don't have the ball as much, where you need to break, where you need someone to pick that lock. We didn't. They were all left at home, and the athletes are running down on energy because they played several games in a short period of time. And you need that player. I mean, I watched Adam Walton at Spurs. In those 10 minutes after Mickey van der Ven got sent off, he destroyed us. Absolutely destroyed us. In 10 minutes, they were 3-1 up from 1-0 down.
That's the question, though. You have Foden, Palmer, Wharton.
Correct.
Will they be the next?
You left him at home to bring Jordan Henderson. Now, in what world is that a sensible, logical...
Yeah, he didn't leave Foden and Palmer for Henderson. The problem is he had a
choice for Henderson.
Walton for Henderson. Yeah, listen, I would build the midfield around. My man always says it. I think he's in the chat. Where is he? Yeah, my mate Dan. He messaged me the other day and said this. I would build the midfield around Adam Walton.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And again, this is what we're talking about: deep line playmakers. Right? You've got to have one in your team. But let me start again. The difference is, when he had the options, that was a massive stutter, wasn't it? When he has the options of Bellingham, Rodgers, Foden, Palmer, right? If we're looking at that four, problem is
Foden, Walton, Palmer, and he left out Trent and took Trelleborg with instead.
Yeah, but Luba, the point I'm making is because he wanted to take Rodgers and Bellingham, who are the more powerful athlete type players. They're box crashers, aren't they? You know, Morgan Rodgers is a fantastic player, but he's more of your have a dig from 25 yards, crash in the box, run with the ball. Bellingham is fantastic at box crashing. He is going to carry the ball. Foden and Palmer, whatever anyone thinks about them, whether they're in form or not, they are the ones that go, give me the ball on the half turn, give me the ball in those little gaps, between the midfield and the defence, and we will prod and probe. And this is the problem. He didn't take anyone like that. So when you're watching England, like when teams are putting 10 men behind the ball against England, all of the ball is played in front of the defence because England don't know how to unlock that defence.
Correct.
Right? Spain have Dani Olmo, right? Pedri, Gavi, like all of these players will constantly, those little intricate passes. Right? France had Elise, Mbappe, Dembele. They can all thread that churky. England left all of their creators at home, and most England fans were asking for it. Please, I'm not saying they dictated it, but a lot of people, I don't want to see the revisionism because a lot of people were going, Foden's been shit this year, Palmer's not been as good, leave them at home. Well, we left them at home and we had no creativity in the tournament.
Sure. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not one bit of creativity in that tournament for me.
Nothing.
That Foden, the one of Palmer, yeah. If people can't remember, yeah, Palmer actually scored a goal there for the England in the Euro final against Spain. So he actually handled the pressure as well, which is another reason why they took Palmer and Foden. But here's another one for you, yeah. I am tired of a narrative, yeah, and it's Harry Kane. Yeah, he gets camera stage, he gets stage fright, he gets camera. He cannot do semi-finals and he cannot do finals. So let's put that to bed now. Right, he can score goals in nothing games, but when it gets to the big games, yeah, my man goes disappearing. It's the case of Where's Waldo, which is what I wrote last night. He goes disappearing in the big games.
No. Sorry, Philly. Completely wrong. First 55.
Really? How many tournaments is that, Lubo?
Really? What did you expect Kane to do Wednesday night? Hang on. It was a midfield battle. Right? Kane, Alvarez, bar one incident. Messi, they weren't in it first 55 minutes. They did nothing of any relevance. Sure. 55 minutes, England score, and then they defend. And you're asking Kane to defend, and everybody's defending. So he's got no service. Kane relies on...
Where was Kane in the quarterfinals against Norway, Lubo?
Sorry?
Where was Kane in the quarterfinals against Norway, Lubo? How many tournaments is it, yeah, that Kane has been into a quarterfinal or a semi-final, and he goes back, he fades into the background?
Yeah.
How many times do we have to see it before we call a spade, Lubo?
Philly. England were very underwhelming in this competition. They had maybe a good period against Croatia, and they had a superb second half against Mexico. 2 players dragged England into that semi-final, Kane and Bellingham. That was it. Sorry.
I think it was more Bellingham.
I don't think Kane's done anything this tournament. Listen, the fantastic goal against Congo, class, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not watching. Sorry, Lubo. You get really defensive about Kane.
No,
hang on. Philly is right. People won't want to admit it because he's English and he's the star boy and he's from Spurs. But I'm going to go one further than Philly and say not just for England. For England and Spurs, whenever we've got to a massive game, semi-final, final, I cannot think of any game where I've gone, yeah, Kane, not even scoring, just where you go, bloody hell, wasn't he good? And what happens is you blame it on the rest of the team. But the problem is, and I've said this to people, this isn't just about Kane, right? This isn't just about Kane. This isn't just about goals. If people want to put players on that pedestal, right, then they're going to be judged on that pedestal. I put Lionel Messi there above everyone else in the world ever. And the man never...
Apart from Pele.
And the man never, ever fails, does he? Like, this man has won multiple Champions League. He's won the World Cup. He's taken his team to a third World Cup final Lionel Messi's going into. He's been player of the tournament at 2 World Cups. He's got the most Ballon d'Ors. So when you put someone on a pedestal, at some point, you've got to say, right, you're the main man, deliver. Now, if you're saying that Kane isn't that guy because he relies on service, then can we stop putting him on the pedestal? Because if you're saying he only works if the others around him create for him, that's fine. That tells me he's a lethal striker. But in the big games, in the big moments, right, I've never seen him I'm sorry, it's not a criticism. Well, actually it is. I've never seen him deliver a moment where I go, bloody hell. I just haven't. If you can tell me one, I'll sit and listen.
I mean, you look at league games, Premier League games, where you've got to be consistent against all the top clubs. He has performed. I mean, Arsenal hated the sight of him.
Sure, you're massively. You've started your answer by completely changing what I asked you.
No, but he is a team player.
Record.
He is the finisher. He's the killer in a team game.
Agreed.
He's not an individual. He's never been that individual because he's never had that explosive pace that Mbappe has, that Messi has when he drifts away from players, that Haaland has. He's not that player.
Sure, I know this is what we tell you.
He's a finisher, but you can turn around and say he's an elite finisher.
No one's doubting that. No one's
a big game,
he is not an elite finisher. But the problem is, how many semis and finals has he played in his career? Loads, right? He's played in loads of semis and loads of finals for club and country. Now tell me one where he played well. Not just goals. I'm not talking about... God, listen, Lionel Messi ran the game for Argentina the other night. The bloke never looked like scoring a goal. But he changed the game for them, didn't he? He produced the moments. He changed the game. He dictated it.
We opened the door and he took advantage.
Huh?
We opened the door and opened the door for Messi and said, walk straight in. And he took advantage.
But Messi doesn't need a door open for him. He will open the door himself, right? There's the difference.
No, correct. But I think on Wednesday night, I think Spurs played him brilliantly for 55 minutes.
Yeah, but again, as we've established, watch Argentina. It's the same pattern every game. Leo Messi comes to life in the second half, in the last half hour of the game, and starts dictating. He's done it every game this tournament, and people still go, oh, he did nothing for... You messaged at half time when Messi's not been in the game, and I'm like, keep watching.
I said all of them. None of the strikers have been in the game. Bellingham, Kane, Alvarez, none of them had been in it. It was just a midfield. It was just a foul fest, wasn't it? First half. Sure, it was.
Sure. And Argentina are the masters at doing that. Argentina are the masters at rattling the opposition, and the England players just had no answer. By the way, I'm not blaming Tuchel, but I think there's this notion that England just would have won if Tuchel had done something different, and I think that's a little bit disrespectful to a team that have shown for the last 8 years that they're never beaten. Right? So, he opened.
I think they should have carried on playing the way they were playing after the first goal instead of, and that's down to the players as well, because mentally the players drop back.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen that with Spurs?
Yeah.
How many times
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm going to say, I said it in the chat, and I'll say it again. That game on Wednesday night, was reminiscent of the game against Italy, where England scored early in the game, and Italy came back into the game because England kept dropping back, and Italy scored first, and then they scored. And you see it already when Italy scored the equaliser, they were going to win the game.
Really, Croatia 2 years earlier in the semi-final as well.
Yep.
Exactly the same. And the difference between the two managers was that Southgate sat on his hands and did nothing until the opposition had gained momentum and got the equaliser and were carrying forward with momentum. Tuchel made the changes, but made the wrong changes.
Completely agree.
That's the difference between the two managers. Southgate did nothing till it was too late. Tuchel made the changes at the right time, but brought the wrong players on.
I completely agree. But my point to all this from what Philly said was, we've seen loads of times down the years where the special players, even if they're involved in a game like that, demand the ball and do something, dictate something, cajole, unite, whatever. And my worry again is, and the thing is, I'm not making this up, Lou, but I've said this to you for years. Every time Harry Kane gets to one of those big games, there's no part of me that ever thinks, don't worry, we've got Kane. And what I mean by that is, I don't ever think, oh my God, Kane can't finish his dinner. We all know he's the greatest finisher in the world, him and Haaland. But I never, like when I watch Spain, you go, I just know Rodri's going to run the, like, tomorrow night, Rodri is going to run the game, right? We know it, right?
Okay.
Unless anyone disagrees.
Let me put this to you. Harry Kane, Bayern Munich, big games this season. Let's talk Champions League, quarter-final Real Madrid, semi-final PSG.
Sure.
Played well in all games, scored in every game.
I don't think he did play well in the semi-finals.
But he had the players around him. He had Elise one side, he had Diaz the other side, and he had players who were supplying him. Now, we didn't have that Wednesday night.
Yeah, but hang on, Lubo. Hang on. But Lubo, you're confusing Harry Kane scoring a goal as opposed to playing a game where you went, God, look at that. Like, he scored for Bayern in those games, but there were much better footballers on the pitch dictating the game than a Harry Kane in that semi-final for both clubs. Elise was the man, not Kane.
Yeah. I think if you watch both games again, Kane was very, very. He was prominent. It was one game out the four maybe that you didn't see much of him, but I think he was well involved.
I think Lubo, I think that it was fine to go to 5 at the back, but to your point, there was no outlet. Kane was tired. You just saw he was just dead on his feet. He looked, and that's not his fault. I mean, he's been doing it for years. They should have put on the pace. They should have got it down. And at least if you lose that way, you lose that way, right? It just feels like when you don't lose, like giving it your all, going forward, playing the way that your best, front foot, then it's like just a complete loss. Like you ask yourself, why didn't we, and so that's what needs to be figured out, with Tuchel. It's like, why did he do that? Like, why did he think,
Right. Gary,
Gary, let me just add a little bit let me add a little context. It goes like this, the saying goes, the best players make themselves known at the biggest moments. Harry Kane has been in semi-finals and finals multiple chances with Tottenham and with England, and yet he has never stamped his authority on a game where you've looked at the game and thought, you know what, Harry Kane has carried that team across the line in the semi-final. He just cannot do it. Some players reach that threshold, and he's just one of them players that can't do it. When you look at Mbappe, for example, he scored in the World Cup final, a hat-trick in the World Cup final, the biggest occasion. There he is. The same way with Messi.
Hang on, sorry. When does Mbappe dictate a game? I mean, we all watch the guy score a hat-trick in a World Cup final and rip it up. Like, I mean, can we not do this? And just quickly as well, somebody said, Savva is ignoring. Here you go. Someone said Savva conveniently ignoring that Kane scored a hat-trick in the Pokal final. Sure, I would thoroughly expect Bayern Munich to wipe the floor with Stuttgart.
Yeah.
The point we're making is when it's a difficult game in a big moment, I don't know why. I've said this to
against top opponents.
Right, against top opponents. Why do people get so defensive because it's Kane, right? I don't understand. I'm just waiting. I've said this to you before the tournament, right? Philly, we had this chat. In the WhatsApp group. We said England will go far in this tournament, right? Because the caliber isn't great. And the moment they play a top nation, they will get knocked out. And every tournament, I'm told, not going to happen this tournament. This is different. Player for player, we're better than Argentina. But then all the excuses start early, didn't they? As soon as we knew we were playing Argentina get favoured, blah, blah, blah. Even when Argentina have a great second half, it's not them. They're not good. It's
Sav, do we not agree that France, Spain and Argentina, when you looked at the 48 teams before the competition started, those three were out on their own? You were going to get
I agree, but then
you were going to get the winners from one of those three.
Want to tell everyone different.
So, and England were rated 4, so FIFA got it absolutely spot on this time, didn't they? With the rankings.
Well, no, four of the top 5 got to the final. So before the tournament, with the bookies, the odds.
Oh, the bookies. Oh no, I'm talking about the FIFA rankings.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. But with the odds, the only other team that were in there were Portugal above Argentina, I believe. I believe they had Argentina as 5th favourites. But my point is, Lubo, is forget the Kane thing. This is an England thing, right? The next tournament will rock up. We will all do the same thing again. Everyone will go, we've got the best squad. Player for player, we've got the best. People in here, people in the chat, Go player for player, we're better than Argentina. Why? Why are we better player for player than Argentina? Who has made that up? Why?
Yeah.
Who are you picking? Emi Martinez or Pickford? Right? Who are you picking? Yeah. Lionel Messi or anyone in their team? Alvarez walks into a team, right? Paredes.
Yeah.
Rodrigo
Romero.
Mate, Romero is a different beast for Argentina. He's a different beast for Argentina.
You know what it is, Savva? Do you know what? You know what's grinding? Yeah, it's when you watch fans say, "Oh, England should be up there with Argentina." Have you actually watched England play in this tournament? They made hard work of DR Congo. What are we doing here? DR Congo scored early, and England had to find their way back into the game with 2 goals from Harry Kane. What are we doing here? They struggled against Mexico, yet they think they can stand up to Argentina. What are we doing here? At what point do you does realism come home and you look at the tournament and think, you know what? If you're making hard work of those teams and making a mountain of emotion with those teams, when you play Argentina, you're going to get what you got.
Spot on, Philly. Can I just say before I come back to that, right? Sam, first of all, I didn't specifically say Romero is better than all of England's centre-backs. The difference is Argentina have found a formula that works, right? And this is the problem. Too many football fans like you, Sam, go, but player for player, it's not always about the best 11. It's about what they've built. Argentina, as I've said, have built a team, a structure that works for them. Whatever I think of Romero, Argentina have found a formula that works, right? With the three of Martinez, Romero, and Emi Martinez, right? It's Martinez at the back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Martinez, Romero, right? It's not about player for player who's better, Sam. The point is they've got a team, a way of playing, and they all know their jobs. Now, Sam, answer me this. What are England? What is England? Here you go. What is England's best back four? He didn't pick the same back four once all tournament.
I think the best answer for Sam is it's about balance in a team.
Thank you.
And if you consider just 2 examples, Greece 2004, Leicester 2016.
Correct.
There's your 2.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a better team than Leicester. They just seemed to keep it going. Listen, they weren't in Europe. They didn't get injuries. They were fortunate. We were in Europe and had injuries, so it didn't help. But Leicester had a formula and they stuck to it, and they kept churning out the wins. And ultimately, there were massive wins like the 3-1 at Man City.
I got to jump, guys.
And they just gained confidence from that in the February, and they just went on from there.
Yeah, I've got to jump as well, because I'm running out of battery here.
But by the way, thanks, guys, appreciate it. By the way, so I do love it. I was waiting for one person to do this. I was waiting. His real name, seriously, his real name is Savio, not Savinho. His real name is Savio. I will show you, because when people do this, I don't know if you think I'm just stupid and I've got his name wrong, right? His name is Savio. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong. His name is Savio Mora de Oliveira, known as Savinho. He's known as Savinho, but his real name is Savio. Look, Lugo, all I know is that nothing I saw this tournament changed my mind about anything to do with England. I think that we overrate everybody. I think you're right. I think Tuchel messed up. I think what was worse from Tuchel was pre-tournament, if we're honest, not taking Harry Maguire, right? Harry Maguire, for when all those crosses are coming into the box, that's my man I want heading them out.
Yeah.
Right, that's my man I want heading them out. Not taking Lewis Hall as a left back. Why would you not take probably the only fit English left back to the tournament? It made no sense. Not taking Wharton or Foden or Palmer. I think he just got it terribly wrong on all counts.
Reece James and Trent, another one injury prone, cracking player. Reece James always injured. So he never gets continuity. He never gets into the groove. And you saw with his performances for England, they weren't great. He left Trent out, who can pick a pass. I mean, fantastic passer. Look how Liverpool's form went down last season. Their three best players the previous year. Van Dijk's not the same player. Salah wasn't the same player. But boy, they missed those crosses from Trent, didn't they? That were previous year they won the league, and they were apart from the first 5 games when they were winning games in the last 5 minutes, all of them.
Lubo, this is what happens when you don't have an identity. See, this is the thing. For me, I think Trent is a really poor defensive player, right? But Liverpool had an identity for years that didn't utilise him in that way, which meant he was brilliant. Yeah. England don't have any identity. So when we're bringing in players, I don't know that they're not going into a well-oiled team. When Spain make a substitution, right, it doesn't really matter who they bring on or off, right? Does it? It doesn't matter who they bring on or off. They all play the same way. They know their role. They know their identity. England have got to find that. England have got to find a formula, and I don't think they're going to with Tuchel, Lubo. I just don't. I
don't either. Listen, Wednesday was the litmus test for him. That's what he was brought in. That's what he was paid the big bucks for. Matches like Wednesday, you're up against it. You've got to change the momentum of a game. You've got to pick the right players to take off and the right players to put on. And he messed up big time. He also put himself in a straitjacket with his selection that was really poor. Really poor. You know, you just mentioned Lewis Hall, Harry Maguire, you got Trent, you've got Palmer, Foden, you could have taken one. And there were 2 more, weren't there? There were two others that he left off. Walton. Yeah. So for me, very, very disappointing. For me personally, I would get rid of Tuchel, start the Euro campaign in September with Eddie Howe. He's the best England manager around. Bring him in. I think let him get cracking.
It's got to be Pep, isn't it? I mean, it's got to be Pep.
Would he take the job?
I think wasn't he talking the other day about looking to go into international football?
Does he not want it with Spain? You think he wants Spain?
I don't know. But is that Spain job going to come up anytime soon? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe the current manager, if they win tomorrow night, will say, "Do you know what? I can't do anything.
Nothing else to win."
Sorry?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, he might say, "I've got nothing else to win." I've
done it. I've done it.
I just think it needs. It's got to be, and this is why every tournament. I know I get called negative about England, Lubo, but for me, I look at England play and it's just a mess. I genuinely think, I thought the game against Mexico is difficult to judge because we had 10 men and I think we had to grit that one out. But I genuinely thought the Norway game, right, and the Congo games showed me that this team has absolutely no identity, no plan, and they're waiting on somebody like Bellingham to drag them out of it. And
that's what it was.
And that's really poor. And these other countries don't have that. And it's why I don't think they'll win the Euros. Not with Tuchel.
Not with Tuchel. I think with a top manager who plays the right players and builds a system and mixes work rate with flair, I think we can be in there with a good shout on home grounds. But Tuchel's not the man. That we saw that the other day.
Yeah. No, mate, I completely agree with you on that front. Look.
By the way, Sav, I like Chris's previous comments about the Euros. We're talking about having an Adam Walton type play, and Chris just put in the chat, Gray could be that man in 2 years' time. So there you go.
See, the problem is, if you don't have an identity and a way of playing, you've got nothing to fall back on. If we use Spain as the, and I'm gonna wrap up in the next 5 minutes, but if you use Spain, it doesn't matter whether people like the style or not, Lubo. For 90 minutes, what Spain are going to do. So even if Spain are 1-0 down with 5 minutes to go, Spain don't panic. Spain don't just chuck loads of bodies up front. They keep playing, they keep pressing, they keep passing. England I don't know what we are. I don't know what we are. I don't know what we do.
Sav, you've got two runners in midfield in front of the back four.
Mm-hmm.
They play it wide, and they look to put the ball across the box, and that's it. That is our style of football. That's England's identity at the moment, which is very functional, based on athleticism, and is very limited.
Agreed.
And that's the problem, and that's why we got as far as we could get, and no more. I said to you, didn't I? I said before the World Cup we'd make the semis, and I think Argentina would win it. Having seen Spain, and only saw the second half on Tuesday night, they were so good. They were so in control. That was a most fantastic performance. I mean,
I said before,
France never had a chance, did they? They weren't in it. They had a few attacks near the end. They could have got. There were one or two situations they might have scored, but you know, in terms of possession, in terms of momentum, in terms of control,
they're a team.
France weren't in it.
But that's because Spain are a team, right? Spain don't. You know, when people go, "Oh, I don't like all this possession foot." When you don't give the ball away, you limit the options the other team have got. And you know, before the tournament, I said I fancy Spain to win it. My only caveat was I can't write off Argentina whilst Messi is still playing football. And that will be my answer. If you were going to ask me who's going to win tomorrow, Lupo, Spain are the favourites. But how do you write off Argentina when they've got Lionel Messi? It's going to be a great game.
Looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to staying on the Spanish theme. I'm also, and seeing one or two of the comments, I'm looking forward to seeing Porro under our Roberto De Zerbi, because he'll be studying the way Porro plays with Spain, because he's seeing, you know, you saw Porro and Spence in the semi-finals, funny enough, put in performances that we haven't seen at a level we haven't seen at club level.
Sure.
At Tottenham. And De Zerbi will be looking at that. Now, I have no idea whether he's, you know, there's been a lot of talk about Spence leaving, not sure whether he wants to keep him or not, but he'll be looking at those performances and thinking, how can I get that level of performance out of these players, as any manager would? So, no, I'm really looking forward for the season starting. We haven't got 5 weeks now, that's all. 5 weeks to the big kickoff.
Before we wrap up, and I'll do some super chats, let me, who's going to win player of the tournament? If Argentina win it, we can guarantee that Lionel Messi's winning player of the tournament, right?
You know who's got the highest average marks for Spain, don't you?
Porro.
Yeah.
Sure. But I reckon you could take Porro out. You couldn't take Rodri out. And that's Rodri for me, right? I've said this for the last 4 years. Rodri for me is the best player in the world other than Lionel Messi, because that man runs every game of football he plays in. Like, he's just, I think he is absolutely phenomenal, Rodri. He is, any game, he just looks like, I don't know, he just looks like a man playing with kids. Do you know what I mean? He looks like he's playing against boys all the time. But so far, so Golden Boot is Messi leading that, or is
Messi is level.
Messi's won it, right?
Is he level? No, he didn't score the other day, did he? I think he's on 8 with Mbappe, I think.
So, all right. So Messi's got 12 GA, 8 goals and 4 assists. Mbappe's got 8 goals and 3 assists. So it'd be interesting to see who plays tonight. Like, I'm guessing both managers will put out, you've got to give some of the fringe players a game, haven't you, in the third, fourth place game? Like, you know, but so Messi needs 1 goal, right?
Yeah.
Kane could get a... Anyway, look, I give me a prediction for tomorrow night.
Christ. I've got to stay with my pre-World Cup tip, and I'll go Argentina, and I'll go 1-0, and they will stink the game out. They'll do what they did first half against England. They'll kick players in the air. Lamine Yamal will get the biggest kicking he's ever had. in a football match. It's going to be a battle royal. That's all. I don't think it'll be. You know what? It'll probably be like the 2010 final, which I think was Spain-Holland, and Spain prevailed. And I think, was it Hal Webb booked 10 players or something ridiculous?
Oh yeah.
Was that
Dion
got sent off, didn't he?
Dion got sent off, didn't he? For
yeah. And I just think it'll be something like that.
See, I said Spain at the beginning of the tournament. I'm so torn this now because I just feel like it's just written in the stars for Messi. I do. I know that sounds silly. It just feels like it's going that way. Spain will have the ball. Here you go. I'll make a prediction that was not bold at all or brave. Spain will have about 60% of the ball, 65% of the ball. Have they got enough goals in them? Can they keep Messi quiet? It's going to be what? Cucurella against Messi.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting. I'm really looking forward to it.
And he's a good left back.
Oh, mate, Cucurella, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it. And I think he's world class. I think Cucurella is a top fullback. I think he's a quality footballer.
Well, listen, he's under the spotlight next season. He's gone to the Bernabeu, hasn't he?
To play with Jose. That's going to be some shithousery, isn't it? Jose and Cucurella. Yeah. Anyway, look, let's see. I just think the best two teams are in the final. And we've got superstars on both sides, like your Malvi Messi is what they're billing it as. I think it's just going to be great. I think it's going to be a great game. I really hope it is for all football fans. I hope it's I hope we don't go down to 10 men after 20 minutes or so. I hope it's a game where the ref lets it go and we just see.
We know who the ref is. Any idea? Has the ref been selected yet?
Someone Messi likes. I don't know.
I did hear it was Infantino's cousin, but
yeah,
no proof in the room, is there?
All right, let me do some super chats quickly. Big up Mark Taylor, member for 23 months, a legend as well. And if I'm not wrong, Mark, you did send me a coffee earlier. Thank you on the Buy Me a Coffee app. Thank you so much, mate. Always appreciate you. So there seems to be a plan with these signings. Let's hope it continues. Yep, absolutely. That's all I wanted. All I wanted is a plan. Looks like it's coming together. Big up to you. Andy Lester said, big up Savva. How you doing, Andy? You all right? He says, free attacking player in. Who else? I've got a feeling it will be two. But are we in for a surprise? Are we in for a name we don't know about? And are we in for a Gibbs White, for example? I don't know. I've got a feeling. We'll see. But definitely need two from my point of view. I think if we get three, got a phenomenal window, right? If you can get three forwards in one window. So let's see what happens on that front. Big up to Seven. How you doing, man? Said Savio didn't get enough game time at City. Look, I think it's difficult, right? If any player is not getting enough game time, it's difficult. But I think this is either going to be the greatest signing we've ever made, or a lot of people are going to be able to say, I told you so, and he flops. But that's football signings, right? You just never know. But it's up to De Zerbi. De Zerbi, if he's saying, that's my guy, De Zerbi's got to take that and get the best out of him. Big up to you, my man. Big up to George as well. Said, hope you're well, Savva. I am very well. Thank you very much. I am going to a barbecue in a minute, so that will make me even better. So I'm looking forward to next season. Hopefully, we'll be in the right half of the table. I've bet Spain to win 3-0 or 3-1. We will be in the right side of the table next year. I've got no doubt we'll be in the top half. Spain 3-0, 3-1. I don't think anyone's done that to Argentina for a long time, but Spain are the best team. So who knows, my man? Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow night, won't we? It'll be a great game. Big up to you, Paul Langley, with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Paul. Always very generous to me. Thank you very much, buddy. And Adam Hill, last but not least, I said, how much? Oh, there's breaking news on Sky. Could it be us? No. Right. For anyone that likes golf, Ryan Fox equals the record for the lowest round at a men's major. 62 is what he went round in. For anyone that likes golf, that is. How much of the business this summer is down to the new guy, Mawson? Years at City, seeing how it's done properly. Him and RDD can take us to new heights.
Yep.
Lubo speaks very highly of Mawson. Anyone that can get 100 million for Vuskovic and Bergval, I'm speaking highly of. Lubo, Mawson?
Yeah, no, listen, he's worked his magic at City for years. City were gutted that he left. He was put on garden leave for 6 months. And as soon as he took over, you saw the Tonali and Fernandes deals closed pretty quickly, one after the other, wasn't it? It was literally 2 in 2 days, I think.
Yeah,
2 in 3 days. The guy, he's the guy. He's doing the negotiating. Lang is not involved as he used to be. The budget was given to Vinay, and Mawson's doing the negotiating. And interesting that one of those first deals that he's doing, and hopefully he'll be at Spurs for many years, and he'll look back and he'll say one of the first deals was with City. So we shall see.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. Really appreciate that. For anyone that cares, Man United have got a pre-season friendly, and Andre Santos makes his debut for Man United. For anyone that cares, I don't know, Ben Jacobs has just posted it, and apparently that's what these journalists do now. Lubo, thanks very much. Really enjoyed that. Good old football chat.
Nice to be back.
Yeah. What time are England on tonight? Anyone know? I can't.
10 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Do you know what? I'd really like to see him give Tony and Watkins and some of those boys. Give one of the other goalkeepers a run out, and I've got no doubt France will play Akliouche and Doué and some.
I think we'll get bashed tonight. I think we'll get well and truly hammered.
It depends. If you're France and England, if you're right now, the last thing those lads want to do is play this game, isn't it?
Sure.
Like right now, but anyway.
I don't think we've won. We haven't won a third and fourth place World Cup. I think we lost to Belgium last time in 2018. In 1990, I think we lost to Italy because they got beaten by Argentina, didn't they, in the semi? Yeah. And we lost then. And 66, obviously, we won it. So, we haven't got a good record in these third and fourth place games. Yeah,
for me, I think what will be more interesting than I don't really care what happens tonight. I mean, third or fourth, let's be fair, the damage was done the other night, right? Yeah. The interesting thing, and I am going to end the show now, is going to be how does Tuchel set them up? Because if he sets them up to go all out attacking tonight, people I think are going to be even more annoyed. Even more annoyed. Guys, thanks very much. A big up to Andy Lester. Thank you very much for the super sticker. I really appreciate you, buddy. Very generous. Everybody, enjoy your days. I'm off to a barbecue. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.